Companion Funeral and Cremation Service is a single-family owned funeral home with on-site crematory located here in Cleveland, Tennessee. They serve the families of Cleveland, Bradley County, and the surrounding areas with professional, top-quality services at a fraction of the cost of their competitors. Companion offers options for traditional burial as well as cremation. Call them today for information about a pre-arranged policy or transferring existing arrangements from another funeral home. Companion Funeral and Cremation Service and the Cody family are here to serve you with all of your funeral service needs. Call them now at 473-2620. Check out their website at companionfunerals.com. That's 473-2620, companionfunerals.com.
You are listening to WOOP-LP, Cleveland, Tennessee. WOOP FM is a broadcasting service of the Traditional Music Resource Center, and we play America's original music.
Where'd the old town go? They moved it on over here in the shopping mall.
Good morning and welcome to Old Town Cleveland here on WOOP FM 99.9, or you can go to the internet at www.woopfm.com. You can call us here at 614-5553. Old Town Cleveland is sponsored by Companion Funeral and Cremation Service, 2417 Georgetown Road, Northwest, 473-2620. Give them a call and do your pre-planning for your funeral or family member funeral now. 473-2620. Good morning, Debbie Moore. Tell me what's going on.
Good morning. It's September the 5th, 2015 on this Labor Day weekend. I believe we're going to have a beautiful, probably really warm weekend. I'm kind of giggling for you folks that are watching us online. For some reason, the color's way off on the camera this morning, and Ron's white mustache is black.
Well,
which is
it's never been black before. But
it's black now.
But, I think what happened is, our two guests come in and the camera just went crazy.
That's it.
I'm sorry, guys.
Can't focus on these two fellas.
Yeah,
we have a face for radio, don't
That's
we?
right.
Folks, we have Chip Bryant and Gene Flowers in with us today. And we're going to be talking about places to eat in Bradley County and the restaurants.
A lot of places where they used to be.
Where they used to be.
When we had good restaurants, right?
And we have a list that has some places on it we've never heard of. So we're hoping some of you guys will call in and tell us that you remember these restaurants. And I need to report that Miss Ella wanted to be the first person to call in this morning, so she called in promptly at 9:30.
Yeah, a little early.
So maybe she'll call us back in a little while.
She's in Central Time, where she's at now, so she called at 8:30 there.
Yeah,
so she just,
she got a little confused there. Something I want to mention before we get started with this. Last week on the show, I talked a lot about the United Daughters of the Confederacy cookbook. In 1911 or 08, somewhere along there, the ladies decided we needed to put up a Confederate monument here in town, and they made a cookbook and sold it and raised the $5,000 for the monument. And the ladies of the United Daughters of the Confederacy now found a copy of that book and reprinted it in its entirety, including the old advertisements in the back. But it teaches you how to cook bear and raccoon and possum and such as that. They suggest that you let your raccoon, you skin it and let it sit for a day or two before you cook it, and that makes it better.
Do you think that's where the Bald-Headed Bistro got their elk recipes?
I don't think so, Ron.
They have some game over there.
Okay. These cookbooks are in limited quantity. They are available this morning at the Rebel Drive-In down on South Lee Highway from 9 to 12. The ladies from the UDC are down there. And also at the Hiwassee Heritage Center in Charleston. They're $20. Please take cash. The ladies don't take credit cards. So take cash. That includes your tax. And I believe they're also available at Stampers downtown.
Yes.
It is worth the $20 just to look through it. Chip,
There's some good recipes.
there's
in
some
there.
good recipes, but
And
they
there's
don't.
some, there's some funny ones too.
There's some funny ones. There's a cure for smallpox in there.
Oh, my
You know,
goodness,
just
yeah.
in case you need that.
That's
But I think the funniest thing is to check the temperature of your wood cook stove. You know, there's no electric ovens
How
involved.
did you check
in,
the temperature back then?
well, you open the door and you stick your hand in, and if you can stand to hold your hand in there, it's not warm enough. The good old days.
Do not try that with a microwave these days.
Yeah.
That's what matter. Guys, we're going to talk about the old restaurants around town, and there's a lot of them. Of course, there's some that everybody. If you guys had to pick one restaurant from the old days or when we were younger, growing up, what would be your one restaurant?
That we enjoyed eating at?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's
That'd have to be easy for you, Chip.
yeah. Well, of course, the Rebel, but if we excluded that because my family owned it, I would say back in those days, I loved the Crystal. My dad would take us down Brainerd Road.
Yeah.
And we would they'd bring them out, to your car in a red basket and a bottle of mustard and ketchup, and we could go and eat. I could eat 10 easy.
Oh, yeah.
So I loved the Crystal.
And that was a
back then.
big journey. I mean, a planned
yes.
trip.
Yes, exactly right. Yes. How about you, Jim?
I'm going to take you way back to the bungalow.
I never heard of it.
Now tell us where the bungalow was.
The bungalow was
Doesn't sound like a place you go eat.
this was a place you went to.
Oh, okay.
And it was all home cooked food, The greens was freshly picked and chopped. They didn't cook out of cans. And my grandmother worked there.
So then where was it?
It was about in the area where Walgreens is, up there on Ocoee Street.
Okay. Well,
The
I've not-
bungalow. Who ran it?
I don't even remember the people.
Was it in the old fire hall building?
No.
Mm-mm.
It was an old house converted to a restaurant.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right in there was
Yes.
where the Parrots lived. The plumbers, the plumbing company,
Yeah,
Parrots
along
Plumbing.
in there.
Get
Yeah.
closer. Yeah.
But
The bungalow. What did it? So it was an old house
Yeah.
that had been converted into a restaurant.
Yeah.
What years do you think this would have been?
Oh, this is mid 50s,
hmm
and before that.
hmm Going out to eat, I don't have very much to contribute to this. I live so far out in the country that we didn't do that.
Well,
We went out to eat. We carried the watermelon outside and put it on top of the wagon and cut it and ate it. That's
well,
going to eat
at
out
one time eating out was really a treat. Now it's
Yeah.
every
A
day.
necessity almost.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I'd have to say getting to ever go to the Grand Lunch when I was a
Oh,
boy.
yes, boy.
And
Yeah.
what the most amazing part of the Grand Lunch wasn't necessarily, I don't remember the food as much as that they give me the food no more than I ordered it.
Yes, exactly
I mean,
right.
you said you wanted meatloaf, potatoes, corn,
Greens,
greens,
potato slaw.
and he yelled it out, and they put it on the plate, and it was sitting there for you.
My dad swore that when they got real busy, they'd cup those potatoes in their hands
Mhm.
and just cup it in their hand and throw it on the plate.
See, Ron tried that at home and his mama smacked him.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I
yeah.
love the Grand Lunch. I'm glad
now,
you mentioned that.
Lots
Yeah.
of people
Have
tell
said
that same story
Okay.
that they just grab the potatoes in their
Now,
scoop them in their hand.
his daughter is still lives in Cleveland, the Osmonds.
Uh-huh.
You know Miss Osmond?
Miss
Bradley
Ellie
Osmond?
Sue.
Yeah.
I have
Elsie?
not seen a picture
Yeah.
of the Grand Lunch. I we look for old pictures all the time. I have not ever seen a picture of the
Well,
Grand
there was
Lunch.
some huge hutchies. I guess you'd call it the hutch, big pieces of furniture. And when the Grand Lunch closed, she actually put those in her classroom at Bradley. And along the edge had little cigarette burns, or lots of cigarette burns where their cigarette would burn, and they're just beautiful. And I hope Miss Osmond still has those.
That would be great.
Miss Ella Sue Osmond, she's a good lady.
And
We
now-
saw her not too long ago. She was sitting in the line at the Hardee's restaurant, and I said, "Ron, there's Miss Osmond. Her family ran the restaurants in
Yeah.
town."
Yeah.
Now, the spot. Everybody, of course, the cheeseburger,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Frosties, and the
Orangeade,
chili,
Orangeade,
and the
yeah.
chili. But now what I remember the most about that was you'd order a milkshake, and they'd put it up in that metal thing, and they'd grind it over, and they'd sit your cup over there and pour it in there, and then they'd sit the rest of that metal cup down
Yes.
there. Oh my God,
Yeah.
I'm getting extra.
Yeah.
Yes.
Chester Perkle
Yeah.
and Lyman
Pendergrass.
Pendergrass
Yes.
were the two gentlemen that worked there.
Mm-hmm.
And Tommy Trotter. Don't forget Tommy
Yeah.
Trotter. Tommy passed away back 10 years ago now. When he left there, had a trucking company and hauled rock and gravel. You remember him, Jim? Yeah. Good people.
My dad worked there in the 40s.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't
So
know
didn't
that.
it open like 38 or something like that? Late, sometime in the 30s.
Yeah.
There's some really good pictures of that. Deb's moving Gene's
And you know,
mic.
they
trying
didn't
to
use
get
a
him-
plate. They laid their hamburgers on what we call delicatessen paper,
Uh-huh.
what others might could just call wax paper. And they laid those 2 hamburgers on that wax paper, and I would get that and the orangeade, I believe. I don't think they had French fries, did they?
No.
They didn't have a fryer. And
Had
that
a
chili
French-
pot stayed
French-
on the stove all the time.
For 30 years.
For 30 years, yes.
And it had never been washed.
Probably not.
There was a brown crust around
was
the
the
top of it.
flavoring.
And I always wanted to chip me a little off of brown crust in mine so you didn't have to have crackers.
Yeah.
That was seasoning.
Yeah, it was.
And you know how they'd throw the food, Lyman would
yeah.
throw the food, to Mr. Perkle in a bag, and he'd just reach up one hand, not even look, just grab it out the
Oh,
air.
yeah. And they I watched them throw Coke bottles. They'd
Oh, really?
open a Coke bottle and throw it open down there, catch it and hand it. I'm going,
Now, Gene, the building actually looks different than it looks now, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
it wasn't near as big as it is now.
It was just
it
the
was a
size of the
whole lot.
kitchen. What's their kitchen now?
Yeah.
And you had a window there. I think you could get a Frosty out the window, probably get a hamburger out the window, too. The only thing I ever got out the window was a
Oh,
Frosty.
a lot of times people
And-
stood out on the thing and they were just getting their to-go orders.
You're right. And was there a bar with stools?
Yes.
Yes.
And then what's their dining room now was the pool hall.
Yeah.
Max's.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, Max Cleveland.
Yeah. So, but those just and today we want you. If you have a favorite restaurant or story, we'll open up the phones here in a little while. Call us here at 614-5553. That's a slow day. When my brain's a slow day. And we're going to be talking about restaurants today and favorite. Of course, Chip's parents were very involved in the Rebel and North and South Truck Stop and the Chow Now.
Yes.
Your dad was involved
right.
and then Beatty's over on Wildwood Avenue. I think he worked there as a boy, did he not?
Possibly. I don't.
He worked at Earl's Restaurant.
Earl's Restaurant.
Because
yes,
we have
yeah.
a picture of him standing out by the
It's
sign.
Earl-
I believe you may have given us that
Earl
picture.
Beatty.
Yes.
matter of
Yeah,
fact.
Earl Beatty's Restaurant. What?
Yeah.
Chip, I'm going to say it again, and I know I've been saying it for a year now. We have some movie clips from Earl's, and there's at least one young boy with the paper hat on, waiting on the cars on top of the grass. Everybody parked on the grass. You need to come see that. Make sure one of those guys is not your dad.
Well, I didn't know that. I didn't know you had that.
I
That would
thought
be-
I had already told you
I
that.
don't pay
but-
attention to it.
Yeah, no. Yeah. That
Now,
would
you-
be. Go ahead.
Yeah, you worked at Moore's Pharmacy and involved with Hot Slaw and
Yeah.
no, those little snack bars in the drugstores. Well, boy, my brain's not working. Drugstores were a popular place to eat too,
Oh,
weren't you
yeah.
not?
When I worked there, we had a J-shaped bar,
Mm-hmm.
and people could stand in line waiting on somebody to get up. You'd come in and see who's close to being finished, and you'd get behind them. And a lot of people from uptown came in there to eat.
So now those Dooley's down the street had one,
Dooley's.
and then
Central Drug.
Central,
Yeah.
Drug.
and then Moore's.
Yeah.
And so there's competition there, and then the spot was going on. So,
Mhm.
but there was the little silver. There was the little trailer, Silver Diner. I think Randy Fox's grandfather.
Oh,
I
really?
did one
Where was
time.
it at? I don't remember it.
Back, I wish I could.
Behind the old jail.
Yeah, behind down in the old jail area down there.
Okay.
And then, of course, and then Randy's mother went on and worked at the Town and Country,
Yes.
so
Yeah.
that burned.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the motel.
Yes.
Yes. Right.
Then you had
right.
Earl's just right around the corner.
Mhm.
It's
Some of these
Mayo
old restaurants.
back.
Can I talk about these? This.
Yeah, talk about
Okay.
this book. This
William Davis, a dear friend of mine who I've
and
known all
it's,
my
it's
all
so
his life.
great that
Yes.
people do this type of work. So great.
William passed away about a month or so ago, and he was a lifelong friend, and he even had, I think David said, had come in here before and brought this information
Yes.
that he had.
Didn't
he
want to
had-
be on the radio, but he wanted to share his information. It's really good research.
It really is, and he's listed all the old restaurants that he could find. And as long, Gene, I'm not sure you've heard of some of these. The Better Burger Drive-In on North Ocoee Street. I don't have a clue. I've never heard of that in my life. Bayer's Drive-In. Don't know. Of course,
That's different than the Bear's Den, I guess.
Yeah, this is spelled Bayers,
Oh,
like aspirin. Bayer's.
Bear's, okay.
Yeah, Bayer's Drive-In, the White Sport on East Inman Street, Tootsie's on North Ocoee Street, Richardson's Bakery. I know that's not a restaurant, but a bakery. Ann's Diner on Inman. I've never heard of that
None
before.
of those.
B&W Cafe, the Pig House, not to be confused with the Little Pig. Murphy's Diner. I don't know about that. Hey, the Coffee Cup. We haven't mentioned it, but
Yeah, that's-
they were there for years. What were their names? Used to know.
Greens?
I don't.
I don't know either.
I kind of knew that.
Someone will call and tell us in
Yes.
a few minutes.
The Curly Dairy Ranch. Yeah. The Big Mug, the Barbecue Hut, Cedar Lane Restaurant, the Newman Sandwich.
Cedar Lane's down where across from where the Rebel is back
It's
there.
Cleveland
Yes.
Tire now.
I guess so.
Yeah, it was it was Cedar Lane, and then it was the mortuary.
Murphy's. Do you
Murphy.
know right where Murphy's was? There was a lake there at one time.
Yes.
There was a huge lake.
Right.
And the old motel that's behind those, some of those buildings are still there. They still
Yes.
rent them out. And that was kind of because Highway 11 was a major thoroughfare, north and south. And so a lot of traffic came down that way. And Gary Ellis told me all about that. He remembered it.
Right.
He has since passed away. Wooten's Grill. I don't know. The Freeman Cafe. This is all work that William Davis had collected.
He had shared with me that he had gone through years of old city directories and found these names in telephone books, which is a great source.
Right.
So if you have a 1953 phone book, please don't throw it away. Take it and give it to the history branch, and they'll put it on the shelf, and everybody can use it.
It's a good idea. Yeah, I've been up to the history branch quite a bit, looking up old things that people told me happened. Like Amos McCann once told me about a wreck that occurred down in Black Fox where the bridge fell in, and the law enforcement people had a mobile cage, a mobile jail, and a tractor was pulling the mobile jail across that old wooden bridge, and it caved in, and it killed the driver of the tractor. And so I was thinking we might have had discovered another officer killed in the line of duty. But, so I went to the history branch and did all the research, and it turned out he also was a trustee. He was not a deputy. Yeah. And these inmates were in this mobile jail down in the creek, jackknifed down in the creek. The driver's dead. Maybe one or two of them is dead also, and they were stuck there, couldn't get out until passerbys would come. And then someone had to go to the telephone. The only person who had a telephone were the Bendabouts, the Johnstons down there. And so they went down there to borrow the phone, called back into town, and got a bunch of men to come down with their horses and their tools. And there was no ambulance service or rescue squad, and they were able finally to get these inmates out. And the old jail, those old portable. This isn't about restaurants, but it's just,
That's okay. We just go off any direction. Feels natural. I'm loving this story. Keep going.
I wanted to find that old jail, that old portable jail. It had steel wheels on it. Wouldn't that be neat to put at the museum?
Yeah.
That'd be a rough ride.
I was telling this story to a ham radio friend of mine, Larry Ledford, and he had an old magazine from back in the early 1900s that had an advertisement for those portable jails, and they were built in Dalton, Georgia, just down the road.
Wow.
And so we concluded, possibly, that's where the county had purchased this portable jail. So I asked other people, and they believed that old jail wound up on APD 40, about where Ralph Buckner Funeral Home is. Who was that old gentleman up there that would keep a fire going all the time?
Mr. Brown?
Mr. Brown.
Yeah.
Mr. Brown. Because back then, if my dad went up there to put out a fire, he'd have a shotgun, shoot an air, and run everybody off, you know. But he would take in old scrap. And it's possible that old jail is probably buried up there somewhere under APD 40. It's very possible.
Could be.
Yeah. Interesting story.
But yeah, that book's amazing. That's I haven't heard that first couple of pages. I hadn't even heard of it.
Oh yeah, one of my favorite restaurants, Ron, was Pasquale's, and I think our friend John worked there, didn't he? You remember the Strombolis?
Yeah. Oh, John can actually make the Strombolis
can he
now.
really?
And now I think one of our favorite stories is that they would. It was Helen and Jim Hall owned it.
That's right. Yeah.
And they had been singers and traveled around all for a long time, and they'd done that. But John and his brother and a couple other people, and when they didn't like for them to burn the pizzas because it ate up the profit. So they'd burn a pizza. They'd go out back and throw it up on the roof.
So Jim wouldn't find it.
Yeah, that's right. So, when they moved, they went up to on North Lee Highway or Key Street.
Yes.
they sort of found all these old pizzas up on the
stuck
roof.
on the roof.
Yeah, because they tried throwing them in the trash bins, but
Yeah,
they would be
yeah,
discovered.
yeah.
So, John still can make that quality steak sandwich. He says he can. I have not.
I see.
I have not had any firsthand knowledge of that.
I wonder where he got his bread. If you recall, the bread was thick and
Yeah.
domed, and he would put butter on it and run it in the pizza oven, and it had some kind of gravy on it. Oh, they were just unbelievably
It's a sort of
good.
a mushroom gravy.
Yes, that's
Yes.
exactly right. A piece of beef steak, and it was
Nothing
so
healthy
good.
about it.
Well,
It's
no.
delicious.
I don't know. We're still here.
Yeah. Look what it did for us.
Preserved us.
John had more of them than we did, though, and look what it did for him.
I was thinking about last night about the show, Ron, and thinking about the Rebel. I grew up working the curb. And back then, these, hopping curb. Gene, did you ever hop curb?
Never hopped curb.
Yeah.
I did one day.
And did one day, yeah.
For the Dog and Suds, and that was my whole adventure into the
Yeah.
restaurant working.
I probably worked curbs from the time I was 10 years old right on up to, actually, in my adult life, I've had to take orders out when there's nobody else to take them. And about all the funny things that's happened working curb. And I remembered a guy who called back up there and talked to us. He said, I left my teeth on the curb tray out there under the canopy, and I'm afraid they'll get thrown away, but can you go out there and get my teeth? I'm on my way back up there. So we had to go out and get some napkins and secure his teeth.
Now, didn't your dad take the trays because people kept stealing them?
Yes.
And didn't he do something to the trays that had Rebel or something on
He
them?
would take Easy off, the stuff you clean ovens with.
Yes.
And these were aluminum trays, shiny, and he would take that Easy off, and it would scarify the surface of the tray, you see, and put Rebel or number 6 or something. Then we used magic markers at times.
Yeah.
We finally just had to quit buying them. We couldn't keep them. I mean, they were pricey. And I think once we offered a reward for anyone who has a Rebel tray at home.
The statute of limitations out, so you won't go to jail. Just Chip would like to have one.
Exactly. I'd love to. One time, Ron, I spilled chili on a lady. I'll never forget this. I was handing her in the hot chili, and it was blistering hot. And it ran down her legs, and it burnt her pantyhose. She hops out of the car. She's really mad, and her hose literally just falling on the ground, you see. And so I got scared and just ran back inside. I never told Daddy about it. I just ran back inside and left her out there, and she probably never came back.
Hiding really solves all problems, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, running solves all problems, yeah.
That's my single day at Dog and Suds. I was delivering a large glass of milk.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's about the size of your cup there.
Yeah.
No lid or anything in it. So I set it down. It went
Oh, right
on the lady. So that was my last day working for
Yeah.
Major Tinsley and the Dog and Suds.
Major Tinsley, that's
Yeah,
right.
right.
My dad wouldn't let us carry much change out. You could carry change out to the next dollar, and that's all.
Uh-huh.
So if they gave you to the next dollar, you were good to go. Otherwise, you had to come back in and get the change and then take it back. And he wouldn't let you go and take another order out while you're going because he didn't want you to mess up. In those days, if you were short, you actually had to pay. I mean, you can't do that today. But for years and years, if you came up short at the end of the night, it came out of your paycheck. And that's when $5 was a lot of money. Remember? $5 in the late 60s.
A whole tank of gas.
It was.
was.
Well, people were only making $25, $35 a week.
Yeah.
Anyway, And we had a guy, I never will forget, his great guy, Alan Patterson was his name, best curb boy we ever had. Best curb boy, that would be the Pattersons of Craig and Daryl, and his dad worked at the railroad.
This is not
Claude.
This is not it. Your
Yes.
Alvin Patterson.
No,
and your
no, it's
family.
not Pat Patterson. Claude.
I thought you was talking awful good about your brother.
I know, yeah. Claude Patterson. Anyway, Alan came up $5 short, and my dad made him pay it, and his daddy made him quit. And so here we were, the best curb boy ever, and he's dropped a $5 bill, and the wind's carried it over the tip tops or something, and he had to quit because of that. And I always think, Dad, we'd been better off just forget the $5 and keep him. But that's how strict it was in those days.
Oh, I bet. Well, like I say, $5 is a lot of money. Do you guys remember the Chow Now? Now, your dad worked at the Chow Now, did he not?
The channel. Well, no.
The Chow Now is where the Rebel South was.
Yes. The history is probably too long to tell today, but Mr. Kenniger owned Tri-State Dairy Supply in Chattanooga and made a fortune serving the dairies in this area. with those milk cans and all the supplies they needed. And his CPA said, you need to spend some of this money because you're making too much money. So he found out that the Chow Now line was for sale. So he purchased the Chow Now line of restaurants. And back then there was about 16 of them. And he named those restaurants after his son's ball team at Tyner. They were the Tyner Rebels. So he called.
That's changed.
It has changed. Yes, and over the years we've never. One time I had a gentleman ask me about the Rebel. Now my dad dropped a little Confederate man years ago, but anyone who knows us knows that we're not racist. We just raised up with that name. When I owned the Rebel, had probably more than 2 people mention it to me in a week, I would probably immediately change the name to Ruby's. I probably would. The people would still call it the Rebel. But I just say, okay, we'll just call it Ruby's because certainly I wouldn't want to do anything to offend anybody. But it's the Rebel, and I don't know if that name would ever be changed. Yeah. But it has nothing to do with any of that stuff. He named it after his son's football team. That's just the way it was. And so, but then my dad had, it's known as the North and South Truck Stop. It was Emery's Truck Stop back then. Mm-hmm. And he sold it at auction. He auctioned all that off and was kind of almost moved out west, knocking around, and saw an ad in the paper to go to work at the Rebel. And so he did for $75 a week, good money. And that was in about 1963. And then he wound up owning the Rebels, obviously. And I sold the Rebel in 2011. So then.
Now,
wait a minute. I got a question.
Okay.
From a viewer.
Okay.
Please ask Chip how many milk crates he stood on to wash the dishes.
Yeah, that's true. In those days, there were wooden milk crates, and I would, and I'd also take a nap in the walk-in cooler. So I didn't like washing dishes. My dad said, Dave, I could have 1 ice cream cone a day. Mm-hmm. So, and I like to get it because you put the cone underneath and you raise the handle and you kind of pump that ice cream on. And so I would eat it and lick it down to the top of the cone and then go back over and fill it up real quick again. And he'd say, son, that cone's lasting you a long time. He probably knew.
He knew.
Oh, yeah, he probably knew. Yeah. Sure did.
It's funny. Well, I think is Bill Burt online asking questions, and he says, ask him if his name is written under his hat.
Well, I don't know if it is on this one, but Bill's always kidding me about writing my name on everything. I just do.
Go.
Yeah.
There you go. I love this picture. Ron just put a picture of the Rebel up. Mm-hmm. I got this from the 1964 or 1965 Bradley yearbook, and you could get ham and 2 eggs for 49 cents.
Yes. Well, we put that very picture in a newspaper ad when we reopened that Rebel in 2004. Mm-hmm. And a man came in wanting those prices, and we said, sir, that was an old. He said, no, you're advertising these prices right here. This price I want. I said, okay, buddy, just give him that price. That's fine. One guy, so just let him have it, let him go, because I didn't want to argue with him about it. So
I believe that is the South Rebel, because I see
the
sugar and spice in the background, Ron.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
Now the Sugar and Spice sold Dr. Pepper, and we didn't. So we'd go out the back door and go over and get us a Dr. Pepper. And they also made pimento cheese sandwiches, really good. And I still like pimento cheese. So we'd go over and get.
They were hot, or would they?
Well, kind of mild, probably.
I mean, I'm talking about temperature wise. Did they heat them? Was it on toast, or
it was on toast?
Now, they made the beef burger with hot slaw over there at the Sugar and Spice. And
was it good?
Oh yeah, it's good. Chow Now though.
Yeah.
When they first opened it up here, it had been a Pontiac dealership.
It's Chase Pontiac right there. Yes.
You actually drove into the old garage.
Yes.
And drove through the garage and got your to-go order.
That's exactly right.
It was the first drive-through restaurant.
That's it.
I mean, you literally. Do you ever remember doing that?
I don't remember it.
You drove through the building. I didn't go for the taste food, just the neat things that happen around restaurants.
Well, the footage for that building is there right now. Uh-huh. If you go back where the dumpster said, you'll see part of the footing. And the blacktop wore off, and we found a date inscribed there, 1961, that someone had inscribed in the footing with a nail or something. Mm-hmm. And I guess my dad, I only vaguely remember what you just mentioned one time as a young boy. But my dad and his owners, they removed all of that and turned it all into a real drive-in 60s restaurant. And that, if you look at the roof line, that was built for a car dealership, but it really perfectly matched the drive-in restaurant. Mm-hmm. And that roof line is still there, by the way. We have it hidden But if you go up on that roof, that slope is still there.
And I love the sign. I always thought that the sign went really well with that slope too, and that the classic sign, bless its heart, it'd been hit so many times
I
up on
know,
North
yeah.
McCoy Street.
We had 2 of those signs in Cleveland because of 2 restaurants. That one, you're looking at, I guess that one come from Rebel North, and I had Leon over at Sign Services stored that while we were closed for a while. That sign is painted on a metal they don't use anymore. It's a gray kind of metal that's designed to take that paint. And I tell you who made those signs, a fellow by the name of Gene Roberts, lives down in Black Fox. He also made the sign up at the Dairy Cream up on the hill. And a lot of he's still around. He came in and talked to me once.
I live next. I ran around with Dana North and
Yes.
signed his son Russ and I, same age, and I lived down in that area. And we played in his field behind his house, and we moved those big signs around on cranes.
Oh,
That's
really?
what we did as kids.
Oh, just for fun.
Yeah, just moved around. I'd like to have that graveyard of signs they
Yes.
had back there. Folks, you're listening to Old Town Cleveland here on Whoop FM 99.9. You can go to the internet at www.whoopfm.com. You can almost see us today. You can see the
Kind of in a fog.
you can see the picture of the restaurant real well, but it's Gene and Chip and I are sort of just fading in and out through there. So you can call us here at 614-5553. The phones are now open. If you've ate at a restaurant in the past, give us a call, 614-5553.
I want to tell everyone that the Polk County Fair is going to be held September 7th through 12th. Polk County Fair, 7th and 12th, and it's some good old-fashioned fun.
Right. Hey, good morning. You're live on Old Town Cleveland.
Hey, Ron.
Hey.
Hey, Brenda, what's going on, sister?
I just wanted to call in and say I used to love the snack house when I was a kid.
Right. Now, number 1 or number 2?
It's the one that used to be by the old Moore's drugstore down on at 5 Points.
5 Points.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And my daddy loved that restaurant, and he used to take me and Mother out down there all the time, and they'd always bring the rolls first, and I'd just keep eating rolls, and Mother and Daddy would say, quit eating those rolls, you're not going to be hungry enough to eat your dinner.
We're still saying that. We're still saying that to kids.
But I really enjoyed everything they had to eat down there at that restaurant. It was really good.
I'm sure everybody at the drugstore's missing your mom in her little snack bar.
Oh, wow. Of course, Mother, she didn't really work at the snack bar. She worked over at the pharmacy, but
Yeah, I knew that.
Yeah.
she'd help them out. She'd help them out once in a while when they got real busy over there. But they do miss her really bad. It was just such a shock to everybody because it just went so quick. And
What a wonderful life she
Didn't
had.
she work there about 70 years or something?
72 years.
Yeah, well, yeah, that you become a fixture after 72 years.
Yeah, definitely. And I want to tell Chip, my ears broke down again.
Oh, is it? Okay. Well, we'll get there. Yeah, we talked last week about that, Brenda. I'll get back over there. I thought when you told me that you'd be calling me pretty soon. Probably. Maybe we can get to this afternoon. Who owned the snack house? Is that Ben Moore?
Joe Moore.
Joe Moore. Okay, Joe.
And the Callaways was partners.
Okay. Yes, the Callaways. Then right.
It was the old Joe Moore.
The old Joe Moore.
Right.
Yeah.
Not the young one who has the medical center now. Right.
Right.
Well, thank you, Brenda. It's always good to hear from you.
Okay.
Bye, dear. Next weekend will be the Cowpea Festival up in Charleston, and that started out about 5 or 6 years ago as a really small festival, and it's really grown into a big festival now. They're going to have that little Emmy Sue or whoever she is, that's Emmy Sunshine.
Yeah.
She's going to be performing along with some other folks on Saturday night. Also, Ron, tell the folks about the Battle of Tunnel Hill. It's going to be September 11th, 12th, and 13th.
It's a reenactment. It's a pretty good reenactment. They have a large crowd there. There'll be a lot of kids. It's free. You're probably some parking fee, I think, to get in, wasn't it?
It's not much.
Yeah. There's cannons and horses and shooting and
Okay.
and you can
Now, talk about imagine those guys, they come marching out of the woods towards the other side and they start shooting those cannons. And not only do you get hit by the cannonball, but there's smoke everywhere and the ground vibrates. And I'm thinking, boy, it took some courage to come out of those woods and walk across the field
Yeah.
with your little gun shooting at them.
Face to face.
or they were crazy. One or the other.
But we really enjoyed it when we went down there a couple years
it's
ago.
a pretty good sized show, and like I say, it's not far from here. They have a lot of booths set up. It has shows things that would have the stores that would have followed the troops. You never thought about that. They was actually some moving stores went along with troops sometime to sell them fabric and.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and
Well, wouldn't that kind of schedule their battles?
well, yeah, they sort of.
Well, like I was
they
telling the
happen
fifth
sometimes.
graders I talked to the other day, it was more like we're going to kind of march towards each other. When we get there, that's where the fight's
we
going to
know-
be. But it was a general direction.
Everywhere except Gettysburg, and they just accidentally run into each other.
Didn't they take the winter off sometime? Everybody went
Yes.
back home in the wintertime?
Yeah,
Or they just camped out,
Well, they
and that's
could-
what happened here.
they
So
couldn't move. You know,
we had troops that
Blue
stayed
Springs
here
down
forever.
here.
Right.
They camped the winter down there, and
Do you think there's any more artifacts to be found on that ridge down there?
Yes.
well,
Really?
I went with John
A
a couple
few.
years ago, and we
Couple
walked-
years ago.
probably 10
25 years
no,
ago.
it wasn't that long ago. We walked out there and still found them, and there's other places. It's just amazing what you can find. But
Yeah.
I think Blue Springs Ridge is probably just about dug out, though.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure you can find something.
Also, guys, another thing, thank goodness folks put in the Tri-State Exhibition Center here. There's a lot of good things go on down there, and we never hear about them. But on September 9th through the 12th, they're actually going to have the National Racking Horse Association is going to have their annual competition there. I'm sure there's a fee for that, but it would be really something to see. And
Yeah.
also, Prater's in October, Prater's Mill is coming up, and October the 10th and 11th. Always a big festival there.
Jen, you're going to have to move her mic over. She
And-
keeps
I
talking
know,
away from
I'm
her.
watching.
And the Apple Festival here in downtown Cleveland will be October the 17th. Well, this is the kind of thing our listeners always
A
want
lot
to know.
of-
Now, what our listeners really want to know, we have another question from the internet here. This is making Chip nervous. Please describe your dad's gravy spoon.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you know, it's like in anything, you want to use your tools. You don't want to use someone else's tools. You want to use your tools, and you get comfortable with the tools that you use. And that's what happened to us. We made the gravy in these cast iron skillets, and we had probably 3 of them. Well, for years just had one, and you made one amount of gravy at a time, half a gallon at a time, and we did that for years. Even when we opened up down here at this Rebel in 2004, we were still making gravy that way in the cast iron skillets. And but since then, I purchased a big commercial brazen skillet, and so we make a lot more volume now than we used to. I had to do that because the thing about making gravy, my dad literally had his first heart attack making gravy. That's just true. I mean, it's laborious. It's like a dairy. You know, you have to be there every morning, at least by 4:30, and start making the gravy to meet that 8, 9, 10 a.m. demand for gravy. And so we used the same tools and utensils, and the stainless steel spoon actually got wore down to just almost a nub. There just wasn't much there. And I still, of course, have that spoon. I think I have it screwed to a wall somewhere. Just to save it, and we still have those skillets. I've always been concerned at the Rebel, like even today, right now, if that skillet went down, the brazen skillet, they might not know how to make the gravy in the cast iron skillets, and I'd of course have to go. I'd have to probably go and help them.
There you go.
One of the advantages of making that gravy one portion at a time is you could adjust the color. You know, if it's too white, you make the next a little dark. But when you're making 5 gallons at a time, you just get one shot at it. And so I started using a digital thermometer to measure the amount of heat in the roux before we put the milk in it, so we be sure we got the right color. And people talk about
And
some of
I'd
this
say
other-
your daddy just didn't let anybody make chili.
no,
I mean,
gravy,
chili,
or
gravy.
chili, either one. Yeah, if you finding a gravy maker and a biscuit maker was the most pressurizing part of owning a restaurant. It's still, I'm sure it still is. I'm sure even over at Hardee's, finding someone who can do it and who will be there that you can depend on. The worst thing in the world to happen in the restaurant business, or probably any business, to get that 4 or 5 o'clock phone call. So-and-so's not here, that they're sick or they haven't showed up. And of course that happened a lot of times. So consequently, the family were the ones who you knew they'd be there no matter what, either there or over at the funeral home. I'm plain and simple.
Right.
And so we would get in there and make that gravy. My dad was serving gravy when it wasn't a popular thing. It was kind of backwoods country. It just was. And I'm sure other restaurants and businessmen across the country were doing similar things also. But for this area, for Cleveland, Tennessee, my dad was the first to make gravy and to provide it as a product to be purchased.
Because that's what poor people put over their hard biscuits to eat them. Yeah.
That's exactly right. Down here at Emery's Truck Stop, that was north and south. By the way, that building's gone now.
They tore it down a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I drove by and it's gone. I couldn't believe it. I think Sam Cannon built that original building, by the way.
Did he?
Back in the 50s for my dad, yes. My dad, I don't know if we're going to talk about gravy or my dad, but
Go ahead.
The gravy, I'm sure they're serving it still this morning. I love it. It's a good, rich, all natural gravy, Mayfield's milk and Wampler's whole hog sausage, and then our salt and pepper. And then the timing in making gravy is what's so important. Being sure your sausage is cooked enough and be sure your seasoning is accurate. Be sure you use good fresh milk and those kinds. It's very important. And but gravy doesn't microwave well. We would sell it in bulk, and we would either serve it cold or heated, and try to have an instruction sheet. So on Easter morning or Christmas, if somebody wanted to heat it up, they know how to do it and make it good. People brag on the gravy you get at fast food restaurants, and I can't eat it, and I can't eat it. I don't understand what about it they think is good. I just don't know, and I'm not knocking it.
Because that's just what they've always had.
Now, they had
because it doesn't have any flavor to it to me.
They have better biscuits than we have, and I think our Hardee's biscuits are absolutely wonderful, and I was never able to replicate that, even going through their dumpster trying to figure out what they're using. I have done that before. What kind of mix are they using?
You got the old biscuits and took them to the restaurant?
Don't admit that.
No, I wouldn't do that. No, I don't think they had any old biscuits left over. But back in the day, we cut our shortening, our lard into the flour. We did that every morning, and these days nobody does that, including Hardee's.
Hardee's opens up a package. And
That's
adds
right,
milk to it,
and adds
a little
milk
bit of
to it.
gravy, and that's what they have. It's not my mama's gravy.
They need that. Yeah. No one's, to my knowledge, is cutting the fat into the flour anymore.
Mm-hmm.
That comes packaged, and there's every kind of grade in the world that you can buy.
Now I can buy a Pioneer gravy mix and put the right kind of sausage in it, and it gets pretty close to being a good gravy.
That's good.
Yeah, that's a good one to try.
It's the thing. Anyone can serve gravy, but it's having that commitment where you're there every morning making it. That's the problem.
Absolutely.
That's like milking cows.
Another thing going on, and I missed it on my big long list over here, and a lot of folks I know will want to go to this next week at the Sequoia Birthplace Museum. They'll be having their fall festival, and that's September 12th and 13th.
You're listening to Old Town Cleveland here on Whoop FM. We're sponsored by Companion Funeral and Cremation Services at 2417 Georgetown Road Northwest. Call them at 473-2620. Tell them you heard them tell them you heard it about them.
Just shh, Ron.
Old Town
Gene.
Cleveland told you to call them. That's what I want you to tell them. Gene, do you remember the Ford Inn old Ford Inn up on Key Street?
Up on the hill where Godfather's Pizza was.
Yeah, that
And
was
Garden
originally
Plaza. Cason's.
Yes.
Flavor's Cason.
Flavor's
Do you remember
Cason.
that place?
I remember it.
Ron starts at the end of the story and works his way back today. Have you seen that?
I've got there.
Oh.
But when Flavis got when he had that idea
was
to build
small.
that, they the banks told him that it was too far out of town.
Yeah.
What are you doing way out there in the country on the county road farm? Nobody's going to come out
But,
there to eat.
I guess Key Street had just been built. I guess when they built the old Fort, had it.
Probably.
1960.
Yeah.
About yes.
And
that was a popular restaurant too, though, wasn't it?
oh yes, but we're talking about family, the Bryant families and their restaurants and everything. Bradley County back in my day in Oldfield was really blessed with a lot of different family restaurants.
Mm-hmm.
Like on 9th Street, you had Carol. You could go in and get the little burgers like at Crystal's, little square buns, square meat, steamed onions. And then you go back to the place and get a sack of coal or pick up a load of coal. And you got different grades of the coal. If you bought it, the big chunks, you could buy it cheaper and go home and break it up yourself. So there's Pale's Restaurant on Wildwood, and all of them had that throwback to the Crystal Burgers, you know,
Yeah.
because you had to drive Chattanooga to
Reimer.
get Crystal back then.
Reimers.
Oh,
is-
yeah.
Reimers had the little
Reimers
burgers
had
too.
them too.
Wallace Reimer.
And
Yeah.
I
Hot
grew
dogs.
up with
Hot sauce.
David, Nan,
Mhm.
and he's Wally now.
Mhm.
But I eat a lot of burgers back when it was beside the grocery store, before it moved down to Bradley's old building.
Mhm.
And the Pales had a place, and they was the second place in Cleveland to have a Frosty machine like the Spot.
Mhm.
And
We haven't asked recently, but in recent weeks we were told the Frosty machine had died, and they had someone look at it, and it was going to cost way too much to get it fixed. But then someone had some used parts and they were going to try to fix it. But we haven't asked if it's up and running yet. Ron and I have been having breakfast at the Spot almost Saturday morning.
Yeah, is that pretty? I guess it's good.
It is
That-
good.
yeah.
Good. Kathy
Yeah.
makes those homemade biscuits.
Hey, you know, I had breakfast at Aura's restaurant over on 20th Street,
20th Street.
Southeast. Here.
Old stopping.
Man, that was a good breakfast.
Yeah.
Now, where is that?
Aura's, ORA_S.
Yeah.
Aura's.
It's on 20th Street, across the railroad tracks coming in from the west, and it's there on the right by FedEx,
Yeah, close to
Yeah.
where FedEx is.
close
yeah.
to what is it, Cheer Factory?
Jackson's.
Jackson.
Yeah, Jackson.
I know which one you're talking
I
about.
met some of my HVAC buddies over there one morning. I said, yeah, let's go eat some breakfast. And I was very impressed. It was good. I recommend anybody go down there and eat some breakfast. It's good
Yeah.
food.
You know, we've always had good local restaurants here in Bradley County.
We really have,
And,
yes.
You know, we've had some good people that have owned
Yeah.
restaurants, and you know, Jenkins, it's very well known. And,
You know,
and I remember when it started out up in the mall as
Yes.
just like a Chick-fil-A,
Yeah.
just the chicken salad and chicken sandwich kind of place, and then they moved into the deli business.
Did you know, though, Debbie, that, and this is true, folks are less forgiving with a family-ran restaurant than they are the franchises. And
Oh,
that's,
really?
Oh, that's always been a concern of mine. People go back to a franchise no matter the quality of the food, no matter how long it took or the price, and they just keep going back. And they just expect they're not going to get their straws, they're not going to get their napkins, they're not going to get the hamburger they ordered. You just expect it. You come into a little family restaurant and they complain about the service and the food wasn't good. Now, I'm never going back. You never hear anyone say, I'm never going back to a franchise.
I guess these big franchise restaurants are like the Congress. We just go back and back to the same people over and
We
over
never
and over.
change it.
We never change them.
You know, the mom and pop can't compete with their advertising budget or even their locations. And so there's no restaurant owner or any business owner anywhere who wants a bad product to go out. If you go to a family restaurant and you get poor service, I can promise you the owner isn't endorsing that poor service. He's back there making sure the food's good. We'll tolerate a little bad service as long as the food is good. Now, if they're both bad, you're in trouble. You know, if the food's bad too and the service, you're in trouble. You're not going to get that customer back for a long
No,
time.
I
probably.
agree. I don't
Yeah.
think you ever do. Up on the screen right now is a picture of the Ever Ready Cafe. If you went across the railroad tracks or under the railroad terminal, the bridge, underpass there, that was up, and that's Avery and
Andrew
Johnson's
grandmother.
grandmother.
Oh, really?
And she had meatloaf sandwiches.
Oh, I love Avery to death. And
Look
that's
at that.
what
Isn't
about-
that the greatest picture ever?
Yes.
That was
And,
right on Inman Street.
Wow.
We had the best show when they came in because they told us about all the places to eat in the East Inman Street area, and they knew what you could get at each place. And
Yeah.
it was, and all these restaurants like this were safe havens too for the kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see
And the
that.
girls would gather, and Mrs. Johnson would teach them etiquette in the afternoon.
Wow.
And how to behave like a lady and that kind of stuff. And that's when a village truly did raise
They said
children.
They
Yeah.
talked about the fried chicken there, and I thought I was starving when they got through talking about it.
Yeah.
But they had fried chicken and meatloaf, and like I say, it was a family restaurant. They had moved here originally from Alabama because times in Alabama had got very tough in the racial things
Yeah.
in the 60s.
Yeah.
So they moved here, and she opened that.
And another good restaurant over in East Cleveland that's still there is Cameron's.
Yeah.
Yes,
It's an institution here.
Eat at Cameron's pretty often. We
Now,
live-
that come in the 70s probably.
guess.
probably, and it's had
70s,
some
early
several
80s.
different owners. But it's
Carroll family for a long time had it.
the Carroll family. It stayed. In fact, one of our waitresses that server has just moved from the Rebel to over there, and I'm going to need to go over and see her. She's,
You guys had the same waitresses for absolutely years.
We did, yes,
When Miss
yeah.
Ruby was there, she had her crew.
we used to be able to advertise in the Cleveland Banner for waitresses, and then that became politically, it became taboo. You had to
Serving
call them
staff.
servers, and just since we opened up down here, we started calling them servers and not waitresses because it's gender specific. So they're servers, but every once in a while the word waitress will still come
I
out.
still use that
We've
word.
had some male servers though that were excellent. You know, you get up to Old Charlie's and these big places. You have you don't think anything about it. Have a male server.
right.
Yeah.
They just do excellent jobs.
Now, also on the other side of the tracks, not necessarily a restaurant, but I imagine a lot of people in Bradley County ate the ice cream was Dooley's
Dooley's,
yeah.
on Emmons Street. Now, there was another place, and of course,
What all did they have, Gene? Do you remember?
They had all kinds of ice cream. They served hot dogs too,
No.
and snowballs. My mom loved their snowballs. Their grape snowballs.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we was going over there one time, going across the Chippewa, and Daddy run a street sign. We was going over there before church to get snowballs.
Yeah.
And he got pulled over, and Daddy had his Bible laying up on the dash. And officer asked him, says, "You going to church?" He said, "No, I'm going to Dooley's first." And he said, "Then I'm going to church." He said, "Well, you just go on, just watch these stop signs."
Yeah, that's good.
And burned him loose. You
Yeah.
know? But,
Ooh, my favorite ice cream in the last few years up at Wesley Memorial, they'd have ice cream night, and all the women would make their favorite flavor of homemade ice cream, and you could just OD up there. I mean, it was good ice cream.
But in Dooley's, we always said Mr. Dooley, the ice cream cone was a nickel, and it wasn't 4 cents, it wasn't 3 cents, it's a nickel. If you didn't have a nickel, get the heck out of here.
Yeah.
Nickel
Exactly.
is what it costs here.
I know.
You know, and now John Cook always said that, I always asked him, did he ever try the grape? And he said, nope. He said a nickel was very hard to come by. And I knew I liked vanilla. I wasn't going to chance my nickel on
Does
any other
anybody
flavor.
know who ran Kay's Castle?
Oh, yeah.
Was that a franchise?
Yes. Yeah. Chain at least. What?
In the,
yeah.
I mean, I remember it from the 1960s, and I saw the other day, Jack's Clean Right has been there for 25, 30 years,
They're
I
closing
guess.
that location.
They're closing just that location.
Oh,
You can
and
still,
it's going to be a Jersey Mike's.
oh,
It's a
Ron's
sub
on
shop.
the end. That's Ron's
What is
favorite.
that?
Jersey Mike is a sub shop.
Okay.
Excellent place. There used to be one in Chattanooga, and there's one over in Franklin, Tennessee. Every time I go over to Franklin, I have to stop at Jersey Mike's.
Well, that's
Okay,
interesting.
Ron
That's
likes
good.
that.
That's
Likes
good.
that.
You know, back when these restaurants opened up, we at first it would scare us. Talking about back in the 60s, it was, we're going to go under, we'll have to close. But what we learned was every time another restaurant came into town, we got busier. More people would go out to eat because it would encourage more people to go eat. And then sometimes we'd get overflow, you know.
Right.
So Shoney's helped us when they went in, and any restaurant that went in helped us. We got busier and busier.
My absolutely favorite restaurant story is Flavis Kaysen, the senior, and his wife opened up a restaurant. And they didn't know a hill of beans about a restaurant.
Yeah.
And they served hamburgers, and so, I mean, just 2 or 3 items is all they had. And somebody walked in one, and she kept saying, "We're going to get in trouble because we really don't know anything about running a restaurant. And somebody's going to come in here and order something, and we won't know what they're talking about." Somebody walked in and ordered a cheeseburger, and she's in the back of the kitchen going, "See, I told you somebody's going to order." They done went and ordered a cheeseburger, and we don't know how to fix one. That is just my favorite all-time story. And I believe that was Kaysen. Wasn't that the Kaysens, Ron?
Yes, yes.
And then Flavis Kaysen, who we lost in recent
Yes,
months, and he
yes.
was great. He came in and did our show with us, and we really loved and respected him. His father ran a place out on Highway 64.
Casanova.
Oh,
Their
really?
names were Kaysen, and
Casanova.
they ran the Casanova. And I think in the back room there might have been a little bit of
Yeah.
activities went
Activity, yeah.
on,
A little gambling,
and a little
yeah.
gambling.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Liquid refreshments.
But still, it was just so well known that people traveling through the area would go
And
there to eat.
they were serving frog legs, was having trouble getting them, so they went down to Tinga, Georgia, and built a pond and started raising these
Fenced in
African
No, Japanese frogs, huge frogs.
And
Oh, my goodness.
my uncle, that's where my family's from. My uncle, they could figure out where all them frogs came from.
Those big giant frogs in
all of a sudden.
Tinga.
That is so interesting.
And
Yeah, they're still there.
Can you imagine now growing your
No.
own frog
Yeah,
legs for
yeah.
your restaurant? I mean,
Yeah.
the restrictions are so tight. What else is on your list, Gene?
Oh, I've got a list here. Shake Shack. Have we mentioned
Oh,
that?
no,
I love the
yeah.
Shake Shack.
You know,
The
that-
Wright family.
Yeah.
The
Wrights, yeah.
Uh-huh.
And that was part of the cruising route, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Come through by the Bears Den, later Rebel North,
Mm-hmm.
So
Sugar Spice.
you're a little older than us. Mine was the Village and down on that end.
The Mud
Yeah.
Hole.
Mud Hole, yeah.
And East Side Grill.
Where was
on
East Side
Benton
Grill?
Pike.
Oh,
On Benton Pike.
Benton Pike.
where was that at? East Side. I don't know. I don't remember that.
It's after you go by Vest Groceries and that hard curve,
Uh-huh.
and you go into the next hard curve. It was about midway before you turned the next hard curve.
Okay. Okay.
Go by Cobb Gear and Stove.
Yeah.
Another
Okay.
place where I hung up a lot.
Do you have any clue who ran that? East Side.
Stamey's run it for a long
Stamey's.
time.
Okay.
And of course they had a pinball machine, and I remember one time I went over and got a $2 roll of nickels and opened it up, and it's all buffalo nickels.
Oh,
Wow.
really?
Yeah.
Wow. Did you spend them?
No,
Oh,
we went
okay.
home. That's one of my favorite coins.
There you go.
You
Let's,
still have them?
Yeah.
Oh,
let's
that's
get this
interesting.
call.
Hey, go ahead, call. You're live on Old Town Cleveland. Hello?
Hello.
Go ahead.
Turn your radio down.
Of course, they had a pinball machine. And I remember.
It's Ron?
Yes, it is. Go ahead. Turn your radio down.
Oh, okay.
That's pretty strange to hear your voice when you're not talking, isn't it, Gene?
Go ahead.
No, I was wanting to call in when you were talking about vacations.
Go ahead. Who are we talking to?
This is Sandy Renner, Diamond Lee.
Hey.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We hadn't got to Diamond yet. Good thing you called, Sandy.
You know, my mom worked at Little Old Fort for Miss Kaysen, and she gives her all the compliment because Miss Kaysen is actually the one that taught my mama to make the yeast biscuits
Oh, boy. Yeah.
and the gravy and the cornbread, and she said she was a hard teacher, but she was an excellent teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Apparently, she learned a lot.
Well, Diamond Lil's had the best biscuits ever. I mean, they were far exceeded ours or any ones that you could eat. Good biscuits.
you know, you were talking about that special spoon.
Yes.
That mom had a special pot for everything she cooked.
Yeah.
You know, her pie pot, the one that she made her filling for her pies and banana pudding, and we had the great big pans that you used to, I mean, you were in elbow deep when you're making cornbread
Right.
or the dough in the morning for the biscuits, from everything from scratch, you know, so, but she still, Miss Kaysen is the one that taught her how to cook at Little Old Fort. She worked there for years with her.
Amazing.
Is that the one downtown on Central or
Yeah,
First Street?
yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Orly worked the one up on
North
Keith
Keith.
Street.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where Godfather's Pizza. Yes.
Yeah, they couldn't put them together. They're sisters, and they would fight.
Yeah.
What was your favorite thing to eat at Diamond Lil's?
My favorite.
Yes.
Oh golly,
Mine was cucumber and onions. That sounds funny, but I love those cucumbers and onions.
Those now, I made those.
Did you really? And your cobbler was unbelievable.
It
Fried,
was.
fried okra was good there.
Fried
too.
okra, yes.
Well, let's back up and say I never got anything bad at Diamond Lil's.
Never. And never got poor service. That was a good restaurant. I miss Diamond Lil's.
Well, we had. One thing about it, we always scored great on our scores from the health inspector. Mom was like a drill sergeant on keeping that place spotless.
Yes, yes. Well, you don't succeed in a business like that unless you do have a drill sergeant. It's just the truth. My dad had the same reputation, but that's how you had to keep that expectation high.
That's right.
Well, the only thing
And
problem
we
with
were all family worked there. We were all sisters and cousins and sister-in-laws. We
we laughed because no outsiders could really work for us.
Right.
It was Mom.
The only problem with Diamond Leo's, of course, Sandy will say that they made a lot of money. It was the attorneys hung out there.
Yes. Yeah.
But they made a lot of money off those attorneys. But that was the best.
We always got free pies,
Right. Well, when there's a jury trial, they'd really be busy.
Yeah.
When the jury's called in, because everybody run over there to eat right quick, and you're in a hurry because you have to get back to court.
Yeah, and
obviously.
you're always cautioned when you're on the jury not to talk about the things when you go out to eat.
Right.
Yeah. Hey, the other day, this guy was telling me that he had jury duty, and this was years ago, and he said my mom was over there. And I know y'all remember Mayo Mashburn. And,
Yes.
And so he was calling out names and letting people give the excuse why they couldn't come over there. And everybody was saying, well, Your Honor. And said, Mama, it come her turn. She stood up. She said, now, Mayo, I've got to run the restaurant. and she just called him by his first name. He said, no, you're the kind of people that I want here. He said, the graveyard is full of irreplaceable people. So
Yeah. So she had to serve. Is that right? Yeah.
He made her stay, but yeah, we got great memories of Diamond Leo's.
It was a great place.
It was awesome.
Yeah, I wish it was still there. When I go in there, I miss the sounds and the smells and seeing your mother there. And she was, of course, these people are hard because the business makes them hard. But when you peel that back, you find very sensitive, good people who have contributed a lot to our community. Providing jobs. Still, it's the small businessman that provides the bulk of the jobs in our country.
That's right.
That's right.
Hey, Sandy, you've been out of high school a long time now, haven't you?
I did what?
You've been out of high school a real long time now, haven't you?
Oh, yeah.
Ron's
No, we are getting old, Ron.
Ron's
So
picking
Sandy and I graduated high school.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What year? 1930?
72.
Oh, okay.
No, not 32. 72.
Okay, 72, yeah.
32.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for calling, Sandy, and it brought back a lot of nice memories of going into your mom's restaurant.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
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 Hey, folks, it's time for our good morning break here, and we always play a mid-morning. Did I say good morning?
You said good morning. Bless your heart, Ron.
No. First, I washed this mouth this morning today. Our mid-morning break, and after the commercials, we always talk about we play a song called Gone Home, which we dedicate to all those people who's passed in this past week here or anywhere around the country, your relatives, our friends. And I found out yesterday the song Gone Home was written by a guy called Jumpin' Bill Carlisle. Bill Carlisle ran around with Bill Monroe. And so I'd never known that before. And let's get this call before we go into the commercial here. Hey, go ahead, caller.
Hello, Rod.
Hey, Miss Ella, how are you?
Fine.
What's going on?
I just got through eating breakfast.
Well, that's a late breakfast.
Late breakfast? It's 9 o'clock here, man.
I say it's 10 o'clock there.
No, it's 9 o'clock.
No, you... All right. Well, you just... well, so what'd you have for breakfast?
I had bacon, pancakes, and egg.
Did you get that 6-pack I sent you?
I ain't got nothing. You know what? I'm wondering if my son's getting my mail, because I didn't even get that card.
I bet the nurses got it.
No, I bet my son's got it.
You think he took your 6-pack?
No. you know it'd get broken before it got up here.
I sent the cans.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I thought that would last better on shipping.
Well, I feel pretty good. My son has my whole check, won't give me a penny of it.
Oh, well, I'll be darned.
He's got fraud going on, and I wish I could get him for fraud, but I can't do nothing to him until I prove that I'm not crazy.
Okay. Well, quit drinking that Budweiser, and it'll be easier to do. Hey, Miss Ella, we got to run here.
Okay.
All right, bye-bye. Don't forget, folks, we're going to be playing Gone Home here for all those people who've passed, and like I say, written by Bill Carlisle. I think you'll enjoy the song. Bye-bye.
You are listening to WOOP-LP, Cleveland, Tennessee. Whoop FM is a broadcasting service of the Traditional Music Resource Center, and we play America's original music.
Companion Funeral and Cremation Service is a single-family owned funeral home with on-site crematory located here in Cleveland, Tennessee. They serve the families of Cleveland, Bradley County, and the surrounding areas with professional, top-quality services at a fraction of the cost of their competitors. Companion offers options for traditional burial as well as cremation. Call them today for information about a prearranged policy or transferring existing arrangements from another funeral home. Companion Funeral and Cremation Service and the Cody family are here to serve you with all of your funeral service needs. Call them now at 473-2620. Check out their website at companionfunerals.com. That's 473-2620, companionfunerals.com.
Check into cash. Need help paying for life's little emergencies? Get the cash you need today from your friends at Check into Cash.
Get a payday advance today for up to $425. At Check into Cash, we make it quick, easy, and confidential.
Get the cash you need now at Check into Cash. Visit checkintocash.com for the store near you.
Borrowers often use payday advances over a period of months, which can be expensive. Restrictions apply. See store for details.
Hardwick Clothes, America's oldest tailor-made clothing company, has been making our best-selling navy blazers for 134 years. Visit Hardwick.com to get the $295 wrinkle-resistant travel blazer at the price of $195. Order by 3 and get by 10. Free next day air. Hardwick.com, America's oldest, and sewn in Cleveland, Tennessee since 1880.
Welcome back to Old Town Cleveland here on Whoop FM 99.9, or you can go to the internet at www.whoopfm.com. You can call us here at 614-5553. Hey, Old Town Cleveland, sponsored by Companion Funeral and Cremation Service. My mouth not working right today. It's at 2417 Georgetown Road Northwest, 473-2620. Tell them you heard it here on Old Town Cleveland.
Ron took the Evelyn Woods sped reading course.
That's right. My comprehension has improved immensely.
I wanted to tell people, I talked about that UDC cookbook a lot last Saturday, and you can pick one of those up for $20 at the Rebel this morning from 9 to 12. Hiwassee Heritage Center, which is across from the football field in Charleston, from 9 to 12. They ask that you bring cash because they don't take credit cards. And I think they're also available down at Stampers, which reminds me, Joe Stamper and Willie Gregg and maybe Mary Margaret Abel Stampers is coming on next week. And we're going to be talking about the folks who ran downtown.
Sounds good to me.
The stores and the shops, and I'm sure you spent some time in Abel's hardware store, Gene.
And I worked at Stampers.
Did you?
Yes.
Well, what did you do at Stampers?
Well, I worked in the hardware store for years, and Mr. Otto, got to know him. He smoked Red Ox in his pipe. It was a twist tobacco that rolled in the palm of his hand. And it was strong. But
look at Ron's face.
Yeah, and then Clark, of course, and then Joe and his younger brother. I can't think of his name right now. But
that's a show we've been wanting to do for a long time. So you be sure to call in next Saturday.
It's going to be a good story.
And we're working on some members of the Ganaway family to possibly come in sometime this fall. And that
matter of fact, it may be the last
remember
weekend in
Ganaway
September.
Hardware Store?
Yes.
All right.
Sure
hey, we got a caller. Good morning. You're live on Old Town Cleveland.
Ron, it's Bobcat.
Hey, Bobba Doodle Doo. What's up, buddy?
George, honey, I am getting hungry. Y'all talking about on them good groceries.
That's right.
You know what I'm going to do at 12? Call Red, take her down to Snack House number 2. That's one of them big old hamburger steaks.
Well, Bob, I'm afraid you can't find a hamburger steak for those prices today.
Oh, I wish you could. I'd buy what Red one.
Yeah.
No, Ron, of course you probably know, I had 2 good friends of mine to pass away this last week. Bobby McAllister.
Yes.
And Terry Avery. And they were both fine gentlemen. I am sure going to miss them.
Yeah, they were good people.
Yeah.
Yes, they were. Terry Avery for years was on the honor guard firing squad for military funerals, and he put his heart and soul into it. And he was trying to get our veterans home hospital here in Cleveland, but they both will surely be missed.
There you go. Mr. Bob, do you still have some stuff for sale?
Yes, I do. That's what I was going to tell you next. If I may please tell your radio audience, I still have a lot of good stuff left over at my storage barn right beside my house.
Tell us your number, Bob.
It is 508-7649, and if they'll come and look, I guarantee you, I'll make them a bargain.
He had some really nice Indian artifacts, and if I weren't in the processes of trying to clean the stuff out of my house, I'm afraid I would have had all of those. But he has lots of, it's like a museum.
Military.
A lot of military uniforms. A lot of World War II stuff. If somebody's interested in World War II stuff, he's got it. The original stuff.
Civil War relics. And you know, my friend, the mayor, Tom Rowland, he expressed an interest in some of the little trains. But of course, he's been busy, and he hasn't been by yet, but he will be, I'm sure. But yes, I need to sell it. I'm just tired. The only reason I'm selling is I'm tired of being broke into. I've been broke into twice over there. And I said, well, before them thieves get me again, I'm going to sell my stuff, and I'm going to sell it.
He's got really good stuff, and he's selling it for reasonable prices. Now, Ron got a little tight on you, didn't he, Bob?
I tell you what, that Ron Moore, son, he tied.
Did you get the dust off that money I give you yet?
Well, I've sold it in a way.
Now, I have to say, I went over there and I bought a Lionel train, an O-scale, the type that I would have when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And that's sitting on my shelf now.
Yeah.
That's not anything I'm going to get rid of.
Well, I'm glad of that. I've got a lot more. I mean, a lot of stuff. But anyway, if you will, and tell your listeners to, I'm Bob Evans, and on number 508-7649.
No, hey, Bob, where else did you like to eat at?
Well, I'll tell you, now, you mentioned it a while ago. I used to love to eat over the Grand Lunch, and as you said, you walk in and give your order, son, when you sit down, it's there.
Well, wasn't that true?
Oh, that's cool.
The original fast food.
Right.
Now, Bill, Bob, where could you get food and something to drink at?
Well, I'll tell you now, the booze was flowing freely back in those days, but I was too young to drink.
But you got over that.
I used to like to eat uptown there at the Spot.
Oh, yeah. And they still have a good hamburger there.
I see. Well, didn't our little fat buddy Alan Jones on that at one time for a short time?
Yes, he was your little fat buddy, and yes, he used to own that.
I'll probably own that a little bit. Well, listen, folks, I'm enjoying this show, and you tell Red if she's hungry and get in touch with me, we'll figure out something. I'll let you go.
Yeah.
I'll let it.
All right, Red, if you're listening, Bob wants to buy you $1.69 hamburger steak, and it'd be about half a bite these days.
Right.
We can't go on without mentioning Rosie Dunn's Beans and
Rosie
Jeans.
Beans and Jeans.
Yeah.
Down on Wildwood Avenue. She had jeans for sale, and she had good home cooking.
And I want to mention the Tinsley family, which was well known there. Now, my mom, my dad's sister, married Bobby Tinsley, which was M.L. Tinsley's son.
Okay.
And they run the Country Kitchen on South Lee Highway.
Yes.
All the chicken you could eat for $1.
Is that building still there?
Yes,
Amvets?
Amvets.
Yes,
yeah.
absolutely.
Oh,
yes.
and they lived right behind it in the trailer, and then my grandma lived right on the corner up there on top of the hill. So I used to remember going there and eating for $1 was a lot, and a lot of times I didn't even have to pay the dollar since it was my uncle. But then I remember they was going to go up to $1.25 for their chicken. And I said, "Oh my God,
that's
the
going to
business is
close
ruined."
them.
It's over.
Yes.
Hey, we got a call here. Hey, go ahead, caller. You're live.
That's T-Bandy.
Hey, T-Benny, what's going on, buddy?
Well, I got a fish truck coming the 19th at 11 o'clock down at the co-op.
Okay, the 19th of September. And people want to order fish for their ponds. Who do they call?
T-Bandy 478-2405.
All righty.
I also, since you're running a swap and chop, I got a guitar for sale.
Okay.
And I got a keyboard for sale and a portable sound system for sale.
There you go.
All
and
right.
478-2405.
Right.
All righty. Thanks, T. Have a good weekend.
You have a nice day.
Bye-bye.
Maybe I'll start swapping shop here. I get
There you
10% commission,
That's
though.
it. Hey, I like to tell an old story. My dad, when Hardy's Mr.
We've got a call. Sorry.
that's
Keep
okay.
that thought. Don't,
Go ahead,
don't lose
caller.
it.
You're live.
Good morning. Ed said that.
Hey, Ed. What's going on, buddy?
Well, I'm going to make a family reunion down here, see if I can gain another pound.
All right.
That's the best place to find food these days, or at reunion.
If anybody left out there in McKinney's, they can get together and come on, or if you want to come on down, I'll make you honorary in McKinney and get something to eat that way.
I think I'm related.
And everything's going good today, and sounded good on the old Cleveland there, I'll guarantee you sound good. I'm going to be listening to you down Dalton Pike.
There you go. Hey, Ed, tell us about the reunion coming up in Trevena.
You keep doing that, and I keep, just a minute now, I check to make sure my dates is right. We done good the other day. I've had a lot of people, input's all been good about her.
I believe it's September the 26th.
Yeah, 26th, that'll be a Saturday. And, we're gonna be at, Kinser, across from Kinser Church of God on Kinser Road at the Tom Moore Pavilion.
Bring some finger food and your old pictures. Trevena School or Trevena Community.
You can even help me out on that stuff. We've been through that. This will be the 4th one.
Good deal. Glad you did that, Ed.
Hey, Ed, where did you used to eat out when you was a boy? We didn't, when I was a boy, we ate out some garden stuff off the table because we didn't know nothing about going to a restaurant. So what was the first restaurant you ever ate at?
I'm going to pull one on you. The old foot-long hot dog stand behind the old jail over there.
Silver trailer. Yeah. Was it a big silver trailer?
Yeah, Central Avenue. We thought that was really something that you could actually get a hot dog as foot long. And sometimes we'd splurge and buy one of them things. Yeah, that was a big time out in Cleveland when they'd go to the grocery store. We'd end up over there getting us lamb hot dogs, and that really eating out. And then the lads that got a little older, we were really uptown. We went to Spot.
There you go.
Yeah. Yes, sir. And then after I learned them old boys up there, I could walk up there and they'd, you holler, hamburger malt, and that thing would come flying at you. You better be ready. Tommy Charter's aim wouldn't do good. And, you better be ready because that thing would come down through there doing 100. And then them old frosty malts, I don't know what they cost back then, but it wasn't no quarter,
15
I
cents,
don't believe.
15 cents, yeah.
15 cents or something. Man, that right there was a meal among itself, right?
Right.
I guarantee.
And they were in paper cups.
Hey, you know what this state man said I just passed over here? Get both hands on the steering wheel, quit talking on that. If you'd have been texting, you'd be in jail by now or somewhere, Let's have a safe weekend, everybody, and I'll get off here and...
Thanks, Ed.
It was great.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I love to hear him
talk about the Tinsley. They ran the Cherokee out on 64. Didn't they had a Cherokee up on 25th Street?
Mr. Tinsley sure did.
Yeah.
I'm right there where the McGowans are now.
Yes.
Is that right?
Right. Yeah, right in that area. Yeah.
Right
one of those.
And then it was what was the name of the steakhouse?
Rob Lynn's was
Rob
along
Lynn's.
there.
Well, I miss Rob Lynn's because you could get a good steak there.
What was it? Stanfield's that had, after the Tinsleys, it was like the Stanfield or
I don't
something.
remember them.
And Rob Lynn's. And
we used to compete with employees with the Tinsleys up on 25th Street. Back, what happened? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Keep your thought there. Good morning, live on Old Town Cleveland.
Good morning, Ron.
Hey, how you doing?
Chip, this fellow. I was just going to call and tell Chip that they won't nobody make gravy as good as Emery. So
well, thank you.
I'm sure he knows that anyway. But Don, I knew Ruby better than I did Emery, and Donald was about my age. But I remember one time he said his mother made 60 biscuits every morning over there on Bates Pike.
Yeah.
When they were kids. Of course, I knew all the McCanns when I was growing up.
Yeah. My mother was McCann, you're right. Yes.
Yeah, Ruby, I knew them all.
Yeah.
Don, we were big buddies back when me and the Belchers and the McCanns.
Yeah.
And but I just wanted, but a lot of restaurants around. Ron was talking there yesterday, and I was thinking about some of the old restaurants. And I wrote some of them down. I'll give you just a shot of them here. The Spot, Lawns, Town Country, Dog House, Pan Am Grill, Little Pig, 60 4 Truck Stop, Ingram's Cafe, Snack House 1 and 2, Grand Lunch, Cope's, North South Truck Stop, T.J. Harrod's, Earl's, Boer's Diner, Earl's Restaurant, Teddy Bear, Pedro Elrod had that Pedro's Place, Sunnyside Cafe, Wallace Reimer's, Wooden's Cafeteria, Maple Grove Inn, Cedar Lane, Cherokee, Tennessee Restaurant, Shoney's, Little Old Fort, Big Old Fort, Sugar and Spice, Chow Now, Hamlin, Goodies, Starview. I mean, there's lots of them that's been gone if people don't.
Where was the Maple Grove?
Maple Grove Inn's up there at Charleston.
Oh, it's Willie's now. Okay. What about the Tennessee restaurant? Where was it?
It's right below the Starview there, right next to, well, let's see, it was right down below the Starview there where Pledger Heard's got that funny-looking little old building they put up where that Mexican restaurant is now. It was
okay.
Beside of it.
Well, and Ingram's, where was it?
It was over on the Benton Pike. It was Ingram's Cafe to start with, and then they started calling it Flatheads after.
Oh, okay. I recognize Flatheads. And we used to eat at the Holiday Hill restaurant.
Oh, yeah.
They had good food there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No one's mentioned the coffee cup. Remember the coffee cup?
The
I
coffee
love their
cup.
sign.
Yeah.
I never
I
ate that, but I
know.
love
Wonder
the
where that
sign.
sign's at now.
Yeah. But there's a lot of good restaurants, and but Emery Bryant's gravy is best gravy.
Legendary gravy. My son-in-law sent me a note a while ago and said, gravy does not come as a mix.
That's true. That's true.
Hey, Philip, tell us, there was 2 places down near the racetrack, and they were Everett's, and the other one was the
20th Century.
20th Century. And now, were they more restaurants, or were they more of drinking establishments?
Well, I guess Everett's, I mean, they sold some. Both of those were started out as kind of a restaurant and turned into more or less a joint.
A joint.
Now, you said 20th Century was a little rough sometimes. Sleepy Sullivan and all that bunch hung out?
Right, that's what they said.
Philip, do you remember the Moose Lodge?
Yes.
Where was it at?
It was up behind where the Lowe's used to be down there.
Okay, yes. I think my dad ran it for a short while. The Moose Lodge.
The Moose Lodge.
I forget those. I was trying to think of who used to own that thing years ago, but I got where I can't think. A lot of times I'll think of it just quick as we'll hang up.
I have some movie video from the Moose Lodge at Christmas, and Sam Cannon is there, and Mildred, and all of the old movers and shakers of Cleveland were there for this party.
That's great.
Is it on film or is it on VHS?
It's right now on DVD.
Ooh, I'd like to see that.
Yeah.
I think there's still a place up there. I don't know if it's just a honky tonk.
Yeah, it's Gypsy Rose. Is that the same
Yeah,
place?
the Gypsy Rose.
Yeah.
Ron used to go down there in recent years and get a $2 hamburger at lunch.
It was good hamburger,
Yeah.
You know, a lot of places like that, this joint had good eating. And but anyway, I just going to call and give you a few of those. Of course, there's a lot more other restaurants.
All right, that's a good list, though.
Thanks, Philip.
All right.
And another place that was
Hey,
legendary.
Philip, you're going to come in and do the show soon, aren't you?
Yes, he is.
I'll have to think about it.
Well,
And Earl,
see, you're forgetful, Phil. You've already told me you were going to do the show, so you can't go back on your word now.
Emery worked over there at Earl's Drive-In.
Uh-huh.
Roy Husky and Bruce Parton, them used to curb hop over there. So maybe one of them will come.
Bruce just called in a little while ago and talked to me, yes.
Okay.
Thanks, Philip.
All right.
Another place that was
Bye-bye.
very well known in this area was Lake Ocoee Inn.
Yeah, buttermilk pie.
Yeah,
that's it. Yeah, that's what they're known
Now,
for.
what was you telling just before
And
we
the
went on
chef
the break?
had
Do you
buttermilk
remember?
pie,
Yeah,
too.
I just when Hardee's came in Cleveland, their first place was up on North Keefe Street, and I think that building's still there. Maybe it's an oil change place.
It's an oil change place.
Yeah.
yes.
Well,
yes, it's an oil
it's
change place.
Enterprise.
It's a car lot now.
Yeah.
Big car rental.
Yeah,
Car rental.
I know
it
some-
was an oil change, and now it's the rental car.
Some of the
Enterprise.
original floor system is still in there. If you go in there, you'll sit
Yeah.
old Hardee's floor, but my dad complained saying, they went way up there in the country and built a restaurant. And I don't know, he just thought that's the craziest thing in the world. Why would anybody do such a thing? So I was driving, so I was 16 probably, and I can't figure the year now, but he said, son, go up there and get us some of those hamburgers. Let's see if they're worth eating. So I went and got a sack of hamburgers, brought them back to him. He bit into it. Oh, they ain't worth eating. Those worst hamburgers I ever ate in my life. Well, I think they're still trying to settle Mr. Johnson's estate. He owns property all over East Tennessee and everything. Certainly it was very successful.
From Mrs. Campbell, which we both missed because we depended on her a lot for history. Mrs.
She lives down next to me, right?
Yeah, and she's gone now. She was 90 when she passed, but she gave me a book one time that had a slaw recipe in it that they used at Green's Restaurant in downtown Cleveland, like in the 1920s. And it tasted a whole lot like the Lotta Burger.
Does it?
Yeah.
She's the one who had the bullet that killed Sheriff Israel Smith.
Yes.
And she couldn't find it.
Somewhere in her good stuff.
Her daddy was a prosecutor or something and wound up with that bullet.
He was a lawyer. But I would love to go to her house, and she had a huge room.
Yes.
Huge room. And it was just full of books and papers and stuff, and I'd ask her a question, and she'd say, well, go in there about the third shelf over, about halfway down, you'll see a little brown leather book, bring it here. And she turned right to the map I was asking her about. It was amazing, and that was when she was 89 and 88 years old.
Yeah, she was a good
Surely
friend of
miss
mine.
her.
Now, Gene has some secret slaw recipes over here, and we might need to try to get that out of him.
It's good, too.
Yeah.
Ron and Gene always looks like they're doing dope deals or something at the wrestling matches, because Ron will get his hot dog and he'll find Gene. And Gene will have a Ziploc bag full of hot slaw that he shares.
About a year ago, I got a hot dog at the concession stand at a wrestling match. And Missy Matthews come by and says, this gentleman gave me some of this hot slaw there. And I turned around and started looking through the stand trying to find Gene. So we went up there and we're standing back here on the side, and he's pulling out this little cup of hot slaw, putting it on my hot dog. Looked like a dope deal going down.
It's really good. Do you have anybody else over there on your list, Gene?
Well, yes.
Go ahead.
Jerry Steakhouse.
Where was that?
It was at the bottom of the Cherokee Hotel back when Pinion's Jewelry was there.
Okay.
Oh, we thought we were uptown when Shoney's came in.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
I mean, Cleveland had hit the big time then. Let's get this call.
Go ahead, caller. You're live on Old Town Cleveland.
Hey, Ron, it's Bill Newman. I just needed the number of the gentleman that had those artifacts for sale.
Okay. His name is Bob, and his number is 508-7649.
He has a bunch of stuff. We were over there last weekend. He has a lot of stuff, Bill.
7649.
508-7649. Thank you. Oh, he's breaking up.
Yeah, Phil knew
I hope we got it. Let me give you Bob's number one more time. It's 508-7649. If you're really serious about buying some things, give Bob a call. He'd be glad to let you look.
What else do you have there, Gene?
Wooten's Restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
It's off of Ocoee.
Yeah.
South Ocoee. P&T restaurants down at 5 Point.
Yeah.
Paul owned it that used to work the spot.
Right.
And Carol's Diner, of course, they started out on Spring Place Road. And then there was the old King Muncie building.
Mm-hmm.
And then they took over the old Coates building on King Edward.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, back in my day, Junior Phillips had a semi-grocery store, tar shop, and had a restaurant on the side of it run by the Davises that everybody in the Oldfield community went to eat at.
Mm-hmm.
And Hamilton's restaurant there, I don't know if I mentioned it a while ago.
No.
It's run by Miss Hamilton. It's down on the corner of King Edward Street, that she serviced all the people at Dixie Foundry.
Right.
Come over there.
Right. A lot of those little places popped up around the factories for obvious reasons. You know, Penny Sandwich Shop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, caller. You're live.
Good morning, Ron. How's it going?
Great.
Hey, Bullet. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing okay. They done the MRI, and I'm supposed to know what's going to do next week. Anyway, I used to take my Triumph to Chattanooga down Dodge Avenue. I know you've heard of Bees.
Oh, Bees, yeah.
Yeah, I used to take
Bees is still there.
Oh, yeah, it is, and it was a good place. You know, what's kind of good about that? You sit at a table they just bring your food there, and you just move the table around and get what you want. And but it was a kind of a funny place to eat at, really.
Yep.
I like it when the food comes to me though, like that. Though I have to admit, just turn that table and it come around.
You don't even have to get up or anything.
Oh no.
I bet you enjoyed yourself. Didn't you?
My grandmother and one of her friends and I went down there one time, and the little old lady must have weighed 98 pounds said she could out-eat me.
Could eat more chicken than you.
More chicken I did. And she ate 17 pieces. I ate 16 pieces. Well, but my problem was I ate taters and everything else. She just ate chicken.
Right, yeah.
But I bought her dinner that day.
Yeah.
Bradley, I heard that lost a close game last night, and I'm sorry to hear that because they lost by 5 points. And I wish they'd have won that game.
It was a very interesting game. Both of them played good enough to win, and both of them played bad enough to lose.
Yeah.
A lot of mistakes, and people got scored off that. But I thought Bradley done a very good job against the number 5 ranked team in the state.
Yeah, they have nothing to be embarrassed about. They played hard. Yes.
And then I think Saudi Daisy is a lot better than everybody thinks, and they got that great receiver down there. And then Walker Valley got beat by McMinn County, which was a little surprise to me.
But next week it's going to be a game of the West rivalry game. I bet that place will hold about 10, 11,000 people.
Yeah. Well, I hate to tell you this, Bob, but Cleveland gets beat by 2 or 3 points.
Yep.
You're already picking Brady to win that game, huh?
Yeah, 2 or 3 touchands. Excuse me, I didn't mean points. 2 or 3 touchdowns. Yeah, Bullet. I'm afraid the Blue Raiders are going down next week.
I'll see you there.
All right, we'll see you there, Rob.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Go ahead, Will.
I'm loving this list because these are things that I haven't heard of.
You got some others on there?
That I've just about run out.
What about
I want to know where you learned to make hot slaw.
I learned to make hot slaw from Hoyt Fair. Back when I was a kid.
That's a good place.
Yeah. The Bentons, the Stampers, the Moores, the Callaways was probably downtown Cleveland.
Sure,
that time.
right. Sure.
And all of them was good, close friends. And Ben Moore sent me down to get with him to learn how to make hot slaw. And so I go down. I was about 11, 12 years old. Yeah. And Hoyt swore me to secrecy, on that hot slaw. So people ask me how to make hot slaw. The simple thing to tell them is to make a good creamy coleslaw.
Right.
Throw the mustard to it, your favorite hot pepper.
That's right.
You got hot slaw.
That's the way I do it.
Yeah.
I don't. Now your hot sauce still better than Brandon Forster's, right?
Yes.
I just want to make. Brandon never brought me any, so he has no proof whatsoever.
You don't want it.
The how you grade the cabbage, the grade of the cabbage contributes to the taste and the texture in your mouth. So
now Pinot Odom that made it for years down at the drive-in used an old snowball machine to grate his.
Interesting.
Because he had to do so much of it.
Yeah. I've got 2 old Salad Masters.
Yeah. Oh.
That and if I see one, at an estate sale or something with all the drums, I buy it.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that is.
Hey, go ahead. Hey, go ahead, caller.
This is Joyce Bates.
Hey, Joyce.
I live at Hartsville.
Uh-huh.
But I just wanted to tell you, I remember a restaurant when I was a little kid.
All right.
I used to go to town with my mother, and it was on Broad Street, catty-cornered from the courthouse, and if I'm not mistaken, the name of it was the Little Log Cabin.
Oh.
I have never heard anybody call in and talk about that.
What year do you think that might have been?
Well, it would have been in the 40s.
1940s.
40s, yeah. I would come to town with my mother every once in a while, and we would go down there at lunch and eat, and I believe it might have been a trailer.
Yes.
And we would go in, and there was a row of stools, and then behind it there would be, behind the stools, there would be like a whole row of people standing there waiting to get a stool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I've never heard anybody ever call in and say anything about it.
I've had people call in and told me that they remembered seeing it, but they didn't know the name of it.
I think it was, if I remember correctly, it was a little log cabin.
Okay. Well, I can look at some of the old city directories or the insurance maps and see if I see that on something now.
My sister, when she was about 16, worked there one summer.
Oh.
Because some of her friends were working there, but that's
what kind of food did they have?
They just had a grill. They had hamburgers and hot dogs and chili, I think.
Yep, sounds good.
But anyway,
well, thank you so much for calling.
Somebody else hadn't called in and said something about that restaurant. I can't believe nobody else remembers that.
Well, somebody may call us now. Once somebody gets something,
you
get
may
that
have sparked a memory.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Bye-bye. You know, the Townhouse bakery was downtown, and they had the Townhouse restaurant probably in the mid-'70s and early 70s. Of course, it would be across the street from world-famous Earl's downtown.
I'll ask you about one here in a minute. Good morning, live on Old Town Cleveland.
Hey, Ron, this is Philip again.
Hey, Philip.
Hey, Philip.
Know that that may have been that bus that Cletus Benton and Herbert Benton had. It was right on the corner, right across from Broad Street Methodist Church, but I never did know what the name of it was, but I remember it being there. But Cletus and Herbert Benton owned that thing, and it was a little green bus that sat there on the corner.
Never heard of that one either,
I haven't
Philip.
either. That was before my time.
Right across from Bob's Guff and Broad Street Methodist Church. But, I mean, I was just a kid. I never did eat in it, but I knew they had that thing, but I never did know what they called it. So that may have been the one she's talking about.
Yeah, sounds like it, Philip. Thank you for calling, buddy.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Out on 20th Street, the building is still sitting there at 20th, where you turn into
Pruitt's.
to Cleveland Plywood.
Mm-hmm.
There was a little building right down there, and it was a steakhouse.
Pruitt's.
Was it Pruitt's the name of it?
I remember eating there one time. They had baked Alaska. I remember that as a dessert.
I remember that.
You go get a steak and it covered a whole plate, and it was
$2.50.
$5 or something.
Yeah, it was cheap. You know, and that was even after I started driving. So,
Sure.
So that's.
I don't know those people. I really don't.
I don't know what happened
Pruitt's.
to it.
I don't know. But
Now-
it was great food. And then the gondolier said he's been here 40 years now.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Monas. Yeah.
Monas.
Up behind Bradley High School.
Which Bradley?
The new Bradley High School. There was a restaurant up there that Q Hooper ran.
Oh.
And I
I'm
don't
not
remember
sure
the
it was
name.
a restaurant. Ron.
Yeah, part of it was a restaurant.
Yeah.
The back part may have been a little bit more.
I think that's the.
But it was a fancy restaurant, they said. I don't know who.
That may have
I can't
been the
remember.
20th century.
Jackie told us about it. Good morning. You're live on Old Town Cleveland.
Good morning, Ron and Debbie. How are y'all?
Good morning,
Doing great.
darling. How are you?
I don't feel so healthy this morning. And the reason I didn't call in last week was because my granddaughter was in the hospital.
Oh, I hate that.
Yeah, I did too. She had blood clots in her lungs.
Oh, that's not good.
No, it wasn't. But she'll probably have to take that Coumadin for a good while. So anyway, I've enjoyed this morning because I didn't know some of the restaurants was even in Cleveland.
Well, there's a lot of them. Now, you said you weren't feeling good. What did you drink last night?
He's a mess. I can't do anything with him.
Well, that's all right. I can accept it. It don't bother me on the least bit. I drank the usual.
Jack Daniels?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
She's just going to go along with it, Ron. Still the laughter from you.
Now, if you get some good moonshine, you don't have that hangover like you do.
Oh, I don't know what you give me. Yes, but anyway,
Well, thank.
I was not focusing on it for some reason. But anyway, I'll let you go.
Thank you
All
for
right.
calling, babe. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. You know, we had Ron put up a picture of the Village cafeteria. You know, when the Village opened up down here, it kind of changed that restaurant kind of thing. You had a cafeteria.
Right.
Ooh, come down through there and pick out what you want. You had the snack bar, the Jack.
Yes. Yes, at Kohl's. At Kohl's.
That you
Now,
could
they
get
had
that
a
big
big
ice cream thing.
They had a big malt and they had a big sign on
put
the
a sugar coma Put you in a sugar coma.
I love that malt.
First place I ever ate a patty
and
melt.
you know, don't forget the restaurant at the bowling alley. Remember?
yeah.
I'd forgotten about it. That was good food.
Yeah.
Peggy worked there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, who owned that now? Come on. Let's get his name. Marshall?
Marshall, but the Webbs run the restaurant.
Okay. But
Yeah.
at one time,
Marshall's a part of the mall ownership.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's get this call.
Good morning. You're live on Old Town Cleveland.
Hey, Ron, this is Brenda again.
Yes, ma'am.
I've got a mind like you, Ron. I forgot to tell y'all something real important.
Okay.
I'm going to be a great grandma.
Great. Thank you.
Yes, great.
Now, wait a minute.
Wow.
Are you going to be a great grandmother? Or are you going to
Congratulations.
be a great
grandmother.
No, I'm going to be a great grandmother.
Well,
I'm already a grandmother, and my little old sweet darling granddaughter is going to have a baby, and she lives down in Louisiana, and she's just so excited. Every time she goes to the doctor, she calls me, and she's so excited she can't hardly talk.
Brenda, I just didn't know you was that old.
I ain't old. I just started out real young.
you just started early.
Yeah.
Thanks, Brenda. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You know, and the chalet had really good food.
That was good food there.
Yeah, for a long time.
Now, Chip, been in that when the first McDonald's opened up. What did we talked a little bit about that? What did that mean to you guys? Did you see your hamburger business just die or slow down, or?
I'm gonna probably. I don't think McDonald's ever hurt at all. I believe that brought more people out to eat. And because of where they locate their stores close to an interstate exit, oftentimes locals couldn't get in there. And so we would get what we would call overflow. Mm-hmm. That was true of Shoney's. They'd go to Shoney's, Brad Benton, Cletus Benton, and they couldn't get in, so they'd come on up to the Rebel. You know what hurt our breakfast more than anything on 25th Street there was when Hardee's went in at Spring Place. I mean, our breakfast just plummeted to nothing because your workers coming in the American uniform and to the businesses up in there could go around the window at Spring Place Hardee's, and they didn't have to come to the Rebel. We never had a drive around window because we were never a fast food.
Right.
We were confused for being a fast because we had a good hamburger, but we were not fast food. And I didn't want to diminish who we were by putting in a drive-through window.
Good morning, live on Old Town Cleveland.
Good morning, Ron.
Morning.
I thought I heard Sandy Renner on there earlier, did I?
Yes, Sandy was on here.
I remember Diamond Lils.
Yes.
I know Sandy real well. Her and my sister is the ones that waited on them tables up there.
Well, you got Sandy and I graduated
They
high
could
school
wait
together.
on the whole place, the two of them.
Yeah, they could. That's right.
Sandy and Kathy.
And
Budgie
you never got
wa-
down to the ice in your tea either. They always had you refilled.
Well, Kathy's my sister.
Oh, okay.
And I just thought I heard her call in. I didn't know she listened to Old Town Cleveland.
Everybody listens to Old Town Cleveland.
You let us get something wrong, and everybody listens to Old Town Cleveland because they'll all tell me about it.
Who was Budgie Whitener's mother, who was a server? Did she ever work at Diamond Lils?
I don't know.
Or I know she worked at the little old Ford on First Street, but I don't remember her name. But I went to school with Budgie.
Had her own crew. She had Mamie and Kathy and Sandy, and I think she done the cooking. Lily did.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That was obvious when you was in there. She was the one right there.
I know that.
Mm-hmm. She really could cook.
Okay, I just thought I'd throw that in there.
Thanks, Red.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
You know, we were talking about utensils and tools. We made coleslaw and hot slaw, Gene, in a stainless steel pail that had handles on. You can't find them hardly with handles anymore. And when we closed, I tried to retire my mother at Rebel North. I kept that. I didn't auction it, and with a few other pieces. And I was down in my basement, and I made some hamburger sauce a time or two during that 4 years we were closed. But then, of course, we brought it down to this Rebel South, in 2004. And recently, when I sold the restaurant, that stainless steel pot is in the agreement that it belongs to me. They are welcome to use as long as they want to, but it's my pot. So it's actually in the contract.
That's my pot.
Yes.
That's my pot. Did we get the collar? Oh, was I imagining a flashing light? Okay.
Apparently,
Never
you
mind.
was imagining. have those.
Ron can't talk, and I'm hallucinating. There it is.
You made it. You just Good morning, live on Old Town Cleveland.
Good morning, it's Lisa Pojo.
Hey, Lisa.
Hey, Lisa. What's up, sister?
Well, if it was not for all of these restaurants you're talking about, my family would have starved to death.
Right.
That's so true. That's so true.
So we were at the Rebel about 3 times a week, and the last few weeks you talked about these people about the old days and living out in the country, and they never went out to eat. And I was just thinking our story is just absolutely the opposite. My dad always said it took an hour to cook and an hour to clean up for a 15-minute meal, and if he wanted something to eat, he'd pay somebody to cook it for him.
Yes.
My kind of guy.
All I knew growing up was restaurants. So,
Well,
Lisa, I'm sorry. The very first person that's documented as having a tavern open in Cleveland was Mrs. Poe.
So yes, and I don't think we're related.
She had a tavern of sorts where the post office is now when Bradley County opened up to white folks.
Yes.
But anyway.
But you mentioned when you're talking then about the Trevina reunion, it being on the 26th, that is also the birthday of Lori Bryant Raper.
Oh, that's exactly right.
And my sister Lori and Lori Brewster, and the thing that they always did at the Rebel was they would put people's name on the sign for their birthday.
Oh.
Yes, we always did that. Yes, that was the worst job there. Who has to change the sign tonight? Worst. Oh, nobody liked to do that job.
So we probably have dozens of pictures of ourselves in front of those signs saying "Happy Birthday, Lisa" or "Happy Birthday, Lori." So, but that just I have a lot of great memories of the Rebel. We ate there on Saturday mornings for breakfast and through the week, probably 2 or 3 nights a week. So.
Good deal.
I was thinking about how many people's worked at the Rebel. Just think about that, and all these restaurants. Your very first teenage job was at the Rebel. I mean, hundreds of people, and also a lot of marriages have resulted from the Rebel.
The Rebel and Dooley's Ice Cream.
That's it. Yes, a lot of marriages.
Matter of fact, where'd you meet your wife?
At the Rebel.
There you go.
And my daughter met her husband at the Rebel.
And I met Peggy at the Rebel.
Did you really?
Yeah.
No kidding.
No kidding.
What
And
about
Rebel North? And then she quit there and went to the burger bar pantry down here in the bowling alley. And I thought she was gone forever, and walked in there, and there she was.
Okay.
That was it.
Rest is history.
Rest is history. Almost 48 years ago.
Wow, what about that?
But I'll get up here so you can talk.
Thank you, Lisa. Bye-bye.
Her family now runs Central Park.
Yeah. Okay. Who owns Central Park?
George Poe.
Does George
Poe.
still own it? Okay.
Yeah, well, as far as I know.
Yeah.
Well,
Maybe
Lisa
I don't know.
may run it now. I don't
The
know.
Poe family.
Right. Oh, and
George don't do anything. Probably Lisa runs it.
have we talked about the 64 Shake Shack?
No.
You know, at all.
just
Talked
a little
about
bit.
it.
Mentioned it.
Just circling it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And does George still own it? I don't know.
I think
George Poe Jr.
I
have
think he
that?
sold that or something. But Tony Bright's family owned it.
That's right. Yes.
At first. Yeah.
A relationship with which attorney?
Fennel.
Fennel. Yes,
Right.
Conrad Fennel's mother.
Yeah.
Is that right? Conrad Fennel's mother? Yes.
Go ahead. Call her you live.
Hey, it's Lisa again. I thought I would update you. My husband Lonnie owns Central Park.
Okay.
Okay.
My brother George has had Shake Shack for the last 3 years.
Okay.
My dad and my sister had it. They bought it from Mrs. Fennel's daughter in 93, I believe. And Dad had it until 2001 and sold it. And then my brother took it over a few years ago. So.
Yep. Okay, thank you. We just knew it all happened. We just didn't have a timeline or names.
I've had a few burgers there, too.
Well, it's a hard life being a restaurant owner. It's a hard life.
So, but now they've been restaurants come and go. What do you think? What's the hardest? Why does some restaurants make it? And some locations, once they had one restaurant there, they can't seem to be another restaurant ever opened up
true.
there.
That's
true. You know where Sambo's was.
Yes.
That never became. And then the Huddle House down here.
Well, Sambo's is a Chinese restaurant now.
Yeah, but it's.
But Ron has a
That'll
point.
count.
Sometimes it seems like that.
Good morning, live Old Town Cleveland.
My first job was little old 40 and working for Roy Bishop.
Little old 40 in
Late 60s. Early
How much do you make an hour?
60s.
How much did you make an hour?
I didn't mention the grand lunch, right?
Yeah, we mentioned it earlier. Yeah, we.
Okay, I missed you.
How much did you make, Pat? That first job?
55 cents an hour.
Wow, that's pretty good money.
Well, I worked at Holiday Inn for 75 cents an hour, too. And all I could do.
My first job was 40 cents an hour, and they didn't keep me after the first day.
Okay, I'll be like.
All right, bye.
Thanks, Pat.
Yeah, I knew my restaurant business wasn't going to be particular. But, you know, there have been great restaurants open around town. There was the Bel Air Grill up there.
Yeah.
I thought it was great food.
Victory Lane.
Victory Lanes with some things that go on. What was a Vita Bella's was a drive-through spaghetti place?
Yeah,
that's
pretty good.
that's true. Remember Penguins? Have we talked about that?
No.
Remember a Reynolds boy put in at the Cleveland Mall. There was a building a small building, kind of like a Central Park model.
Yeah.
Called Penguins. Do you remember it, Jim?
I don't remember that.
Yeah, he had 2 of those, and they were there a couple of years. Then to be successful in the restaurant business, it has to become your life. It's not something you can't be absentee. You have to be there, and it has to dominate everything you do. Your schedule, your vacations, your holidays. You have to live it, and it's a very hard business to make any money at too. Some weeks you don't get a paycheck, and that's just the truth.
As a friend of ours, Artie Ellis, started Sports Pizza over on Dalton Pike, and now when he decided he was going to do this, he said he'd come up with a name, and we sort of come up with it. All the employees ought to wear a referee shirt, and have yellow towels, so if something spilled by the people run out, blow a whistle, and throw it down. It's for fun, and so he just called every sports team in America, every college team, and said he was building a restaurant called Sportsman, put their posters up, and that's why he wallpapered his whole. He had more, but
he had good pizza.
He said
great pizza.
He said he was going
sandwiches too.
He said he was going to pizza business. What do you know about pizza? Nothing. He said, so I'm coming to your house, and a bunch of our friends would get together, and Artie would cook pizza in our oven, and say,
it was
what do you
tough
think?
being Artie's
and we'd
friend.
say, that's just not right. Let's try one more.
Yeah.
And you need to change the sauce a little bit.
I think her family was actually in the pizza business up north somewhere.
Did he retire to Florida? Where's
he lives here in Cleveland now, but he has a big sailboat that he goes out and stays on the water for 6 months at a time.
He has the best supreme pizza I have ever eaten in my life anywhere. And I wish we could get it. Yes.
It's a good
balance. It had Torito chili peppers on it, I think. Or salad peppers. I wish we could still get it, but I don't guess we ever will.
And the crust, I always liked his crust because it was in between being thick and thin.
Yeah.
You didn't have that cracker texture to it, but you didn't have that real doughy.
And Artie's a good guy. He's just a good guy. He really
what
is.
restaurant, guys, was there where Burger King is now?
Okay, yes, that was a barbecue place. Hickory. Let me see. I remember that. It was a cabin, kind of a wooden building.
Well, it was 2 or 3 things there for a while. You know, I think Gondolier was over there at one time too.
Yeah.
Hey, go ahead, caller.
Yeah, was there another place at the mall called the Oasis? I remember that, it seems like.
The Village?
At the Cleveland Mall?
At the Cleveland Mall, yeah.
I don't recall that. I really don't.
They had that big restaurant on the right as you went in, and then they had Jenkins. He had that little chicken sandwich.
Ice cream place was there.
I don't remember one.
I remember what it was called. It seemed like it was called the Oasis, but I might remember.
Yeah, well, because I don't remember that one.
I don't remember that. But that doesn't mean it wasn't there.
I'll please do. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Have we talked about the Quick Burger?
No.
I remember when the Quick Burger came in. Oh, that was the latest thing. You walk up to that trailer and get you an ice cream.
And we still eat the Quick Burger.
The hamburgers are really good.
They're very good. Not one time have we ever had an order messed up. Not one time have we ever got food that wasn't good. And we've been eating there for 40 years.
The one down on South Lee?
The shrimp platter.
You just call ahead.
Oh man, that's a huge.
They don't keep anything cooked up.
I keep the
numbers
not
fast.
Right. I would close the Rebel and call in an order at Quick Burger and take it home.
Yep, there you go.
I would.
Hey, good morning. You live on Old Town Cleveland.
Hey, this is Tim Newman again. Wasn't that Sweeney's on 25th Street?
Sweeney's. You got it.
Yeah.
We all remembered when you said it.
Did y'all ever mention Lon's out on North Lee Highway?
Somebody mentioned it, but nobody talked about it.
Do you actually remember it?
I ate there.
Okay.
Where was it?
You are.
Do you remember where it was? Philip?
Right about where Grissom's funeral home is. It's in that.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
That's where it was.
Yeah, Eddie Cartwright talks about it a lot.
Okay, I didn't hear it, though.
But you
I
can't.
mean, he
believe-
didn't today, but he's mentioned it before.
You can't believe what Eddie Cartwright says, though.
It's the
So
one I
that's why
sent you a picture of. Remember?
Yeah. All right, thank you, Phil.
Enjoyed it.
Yeah, the Quick Burgers, and they got one on Wildwood, and they had one over on Spring Place, and one
Yes.
on South Lee, and
Yeah,
they were
I mean,
all
it's good food. There's sliced onion on the hamburger. Yeah, it's good food. We're subject to eating there tonight, so the Quick Burger is a good place to go to.
I went by yesterday and got a foot-long hot dog.
Did you? Okay. Yeah.
I can't eat a foot-long hot dog. I can eat 2 6-inch hot dogs, but a foot-long just too much for me.
Is it?
Well,
Yeah.
it's that
I like
gap
the
in between.
footlongs.
Huh?
That gap in between.
Yeah.
Well,
I like the footlongs from Dairy Cream. I think they're good.
when I go order a
Heartburn
pizza,
in a bun.
you know, I order a large pizza, and they say, you want that cut in 12 or 8 slices? And I say 8 slices. I couldn't eat 12. Yeah. Go ahead, caller. You're live.
Has anybody ever mentioned the little place that sold Stromboli's down there across from the village, across Inman Street?
No, where was that at?
It was right there at the corner of Inman and Highland Avenue, I believe.
Oh.
Wow.
Right across Inman Street from the village. Anyway, I just thought of it. Thank you.
I thank you for calling in. I don't remember.
Somebody
that one.
call us back. Thanks for calling.
Don't forget Kentucky Fried Chicken. Gene, didn't you work there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Worked for the England.
That was a new concept.
You are
wasn't it?
listening to
Yes.
Don't say that.
WOOPLP, Cleveland, Tennessee.
Push all the buttons, Ron.
It was ready for me to go home.
It says it's 12 o'clock. We're signing off.
No. Go ahead.
Kentucky Fried Chicken. I mean, it was. I think John came on the show and said there was so much business on Sundays they'd have to have a city police officer directing traffic.
Yeah.
People pulling out into Inman Street.
Good.
We would go in early to start frying chicken. You know, we fried 2 chickens at a time in the old days.
Mm-hmm.
We cut up all those chickens on a bandsaw. I got scars here from talking to Mr. England, and we all had to pull the fat out of the chicken's area
Yeah.
and throwed it in the fat barrel. And Mr. England's talking to me, and I turned through it and laid that finger wide open.
No.
Well, my hand was so cold because they packed them in ice. He wouldn't even bleed. And he heard my finger hit it. He said, let me see it, let me see it. And I wouldn't let him see it. But he sent me over to, I can't even think the name of the doctors now,
Like
to get it fixed.
PNS Respects.
Yeah. And, you know, for a little hole-in-the-wall place, a lot of chicken went out those windows.
I appreciate that Aunt Kathy and Johnny remodeling these Kentucky Fried Chickens and putting them up over on Treasury Drive.
Yeah.
North up on Keith Street. The beautiful buildings, good contribution to our community. A community is about jobs. I mean, just face
Yes.
it. Without jobs, you have no community. Jobs
Right.
are so important, and they've given a lot of people a lot of jobs.
Yeah. And when I left to go work at Bowaters, Mr. England put me over the side, and he told me, he said, I'm getting ready to build a new store up on Key Street, and if you're interested in it, it's going to be your store.
Oh, what about
to keep me from going up there. And I told him, I said, well, there's really not a life in the restaurant unless you own it, and then you're married to it.
Mm-hmm.
And they do have benefits and stuff, so I may try it. He said, you try it for a while when that store's built. If you don't like it, you come back.
Mm-hmm.
And
Now I understand Mr. England kind of argued with the franchise that they didn't think they needed seating in a restaurant, and this one on Key Street was the very first Kentucky
Yeah.
Fried Chicken that was open that had
It was.
seating inside.
it was a to-go business, you know. You could pull in, get your chicken, and leave.
I am very proud that the KFC has now dropped their original new Colonel Sanders
I am too.
and
They are
brought the
messed up.
that was a pretty bad
Yeah.
impersonation of the original, and then I think Norm Macdonald is playing the new guy and playing a little bit more low-keyed and more
Yeah.
about the food and not the silliness. And
The concept of it was amazing. Ron, 2 hours has already gone by here today. Next week's show will be Stampers and Downtown with Willie Gregg and Joe Stamper. I hope you guys will join us. Be sure to go buy Stampers and pick up your United Daughters of the Confederacy cookbook, because when they're gone, they're going to be gone. Do you want to say something, Chip?
Oh, I want Bee's Restaurant. We were told by those folks that the health department said they are the last restaurant in Tennessee that can serve the food the way they serve it, that family style.
Susan,
because of the cross contamination, that sort of thing. So they're grandfathered in. So you'll never see another restaurant like that in Tennessee, right?
Real quick, Bees was a great one that we traveled out of town. Of course, Couches.
Yes.
Then and now.
Now.
Still a long time.
Couches, the Rebel, the Spot are 3 originals that you can still eat at.
Yeah.
That
some
are
of the
the
few.
old-time originals.
And, of course, Lively's up on 411s. If you're going up through 411, there used to be a steakhouse on the right, big red building on the right.
Had a big bull on top of the building.
Steakhouse.
Yes, I used to eat there a lot.
Yeah.
My dad would take us there.
So there are just hundreds of places, but it brings back great memories. And like say, in today's, there's a lot of big box stores, I call, the chains. And not saying that they're bad food. But when I go out of town, I still look for the mom and pop stores and try to go to those places.
He actually took me to
Excel's.
No, what was that fried wiener place?
Oh, Mimo's.
Fried wieners on 9th Street, y'all. That's where he took me.
Barbecued wieners. You ever been to Mimo's in Chattanooga? No. Oh, yeah. Chopped wieners.
Chopped wieners.
Mimo's chopped wieners.
It's
exactly on
what
Martin
it was.
Luther King Boulevard, right down from Champy's. If you've never been there, you ought to go once at least. Everything, but now what we always tell everybody is get your old pictures from out from under the bed. There's no pictures I know of the Grand Lunch, lawns. I have never seen a picture or seen some of the lawns, but there's all these places that you may have ate, you may have went to. Lisa talked about having several pictures by the sign. Well, everybody'd like to see those again. I know, Chip, you'd like to keep those in there. And it could be the little store down, T.J. Howard's over in the Oldfield, Chippewa there. People like to see a picture of that store. Picture of you standing out talking to somebody, it may have been their grandfather. We've got to save history. Right now we use our phones, and someday we don't print pictures anymore. So picture history may be gone in the future. So get those old pictures out, share them with people, save that history. A couple weeks ago, my cousin and myself and Deb went over and filmed my 89-year-old uncle, and just let him sit and talk for about 2 hours just sit there and talk about whatever he wants to. We sort of said, what about this? And he'd talk about it. And we're just going to save that film. And so when last person in my mom's side of the family alive, so we wanted to save all those stories that we could. Didn't do it earlier. Mm-hmm. We should have done it with my mom and her brothers and sisters. We did have my grandfather recorded on tape, so we did have that. Do that. It's important that you say that. It's up to us. And Deb, we'll always remember Pearl Harbor, but...
Well, we remember Aunt Pearl. See you guys next week here on Old Town Cleveland.
Bye-bye, y'all.
Where the old town goes. They moved it on over here in a shopping mall. Hometown
Companion Funeral and Cremation Service is a single-family owned funeral home with on-site crematory located here in Cleveland, Tennessee. They serve the families of Cleveland, Bradley County, and the surrounding areas with professional, top-quality services at a fraction of the cost of their competitors. Companion offers options for traditional burial as well as cremation. Call them today for information about a pre-arranged policy or transferring existing arrangements from another funeral home. Companion Funeral and Cremation Service and the Cody family are here to serve you with all of your funeral service needs. Call them now at 473-2620. Check out their website at companionfunerals.com. That's 473-2620, companionfunerals.com.